Welcome back, friends. It is time to set things up and set the stage, really, for our second set of matches. Game number 3 and 4 of our 4th playday here at Six Invitational 2023. Live from Montreal. As I always say, the city of Rainbow Six. It's the hometown. It's the head of Rainbow Six. This is where Bikini Body lives as the CEO of Rainbow Six. And some would say, hello, I'm Mr. Medic, your host. With me are Mandy and Mr. James. Hello, how are you doing? We're going to have a chat about our upcoming game and our two teams, Koi and SSG. You've seen these teams playing over the past few days. Koi coming back, at least in their scoreline. Spacestation having a tough time on day 2, but opening up very well in their first day, which is the second, oddly enough, here in the group stage. Let's talk about them in detail because things seem to have shifted. SSG, what can they bring?
Well, this is the Six Invitational 2020 champions chasing former glory. They are already safe from elimination from the group stage, so they will make it into stage 2. But how deep they'll make it remains to be seen. They are currently slated to be in the lower bracket, but if they are able to post up some good results in their final groups matches, they could jump over G2. They could even jump over Koi and guarantee upper bracket, which is really where you want to be because it gives you a second life once it comes to those playoffs.
SSG, they had a pretty solid start coming into this Six Invitational. They came through the last chance qualifier from North America, so they came into it with feeling pretty warm, honestly. They'd played a lot of BO3s before even beginning this stage 1, and what that means is, although they're a little bit more vulnerable to their map pool being revealed, they've actually really leaned into their strengths, and they've played it to perfection so far.
But Mandy, not to borrow too much from your own jargon in this case, but SSG were blasting. It was solid fuel that they were going up high up in the air in day 1. Day 2 looked like no parachute can hold them. Somebody can design something like that. But, you know, they fell apart and they just could not recover against W7M. So what's the difference that you saw, at least in the gameplay, from SSG's part?
Gameplay, I think it was just W7M besting them a little bit on that second day. I think that SSG... yeah, they're a good team, and they definitely are composed and put together, but I think W7M sort of started running circles around them a little bit. I think it was a bit of an experience difference.
I don't know if this is a hot take, but I actually feel like Space Station played quite similarly on day 1 and day 2 against Elevate and W7M, and yet achieved incredibly different results, right? They 2-0'd Elevate fairly comfortably, and they go against W7M and they win 1 round over 2 maps. I said this the other day, it's the first time in history Space Station has ever been 7-0'd, and it's also the most dominant Six Invitational BO3 in history. That is a massive black mark. That's not a record that you want to hold, right? If you're Space Station, but it is against W7M. They are safe from elimination in groups, and there's still a shot at them redeeming themselves. They've got 3 former SI champions chasing that former glory. There is a chance that they might be in the fight, but they need to show that they have a little bit more variety in their gameplay, because if they keep playing as slow as they did against W7M, they are going to get rolled.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that as well. W7M, they're kind of a team that once you get a bit lost in their current, they start running circles around you. And I think for SSG, they needed to look for that, a bit of adaptation to try and change up their playstyle and deal with the way that W7M was forcing them sort of to play into their hands. I think SSG can sometimes get a little bit stuck in their way, especially against the LATAM teams. And I think it's just about breaking out of that flow and figuring it out, problem solving in the moment.
Now let's talk about SSG's opponents, Koi, on the other end of the scale. Of course, they are no strangers to championships themselves. We talked about it so many times. Berlin winners couldn't qualify to Jönköping. They're already qualified for the Invitational. They took an L against G2 on day 1, but to be fair, that could have swung either way, seeing how as the game went. And then 2-0 Elevate. But James, did you see a difference between those 2 days in Koi's performance? Do you think they're ready for an opponent like SSG?
I think that Koi, now that we have the full context of how well G2 have been performing, I don't think Koi have too much to be upset about with that 3-map loss that they managed to, unfortunately, succumb to G2 on the first playday. They did beat Elevate. It was a very close game, but the real thing here is just they need confidence. I put them in a very similar bucket to the Wolves. These guys, we know everything they're capable of. They're major winners. Kanto himself is a Six Invitational winner. Kryne is one of the most experienced players in the game. They just need that confidence under their belt. They need to stop worrying worrying about things, the anxiety, once it creeps in, you start to second guess yourself, you start to second guess your teammates. That's when you start to have these massive breakdowns. We even have seen it perhaps earlier today in the Liquid and Direwolves game. But I think Koi is starting to find their mojo now. And so I'm pretty optimistic for them and their run henceforth.
When I think about Koi, I see them as the polar opposite to SSG. I'm going to bring in some new terminology to the desk. So I'm going to go ahead and say Koi are a very tactics-based team, whereas SSG are much more into the strategy side of things. SSG, they cross the T's, they dot their I's, and they make sure that they go through the map very methodically. Not just that, but even on the defense, they're very closed in their strategy. Whereas Koi, they don't really have quite as deep of a strat book, but they have a lot more things going on like teamwork, working in duos and trios, just generally going in for things like pinches, double swinging, just being able to architect smaller parts of the map and segmenting that between 2 or 3 of their players, losing the tactics of Rainbow Six Siege rather than just setting up the entire map in its entirety in a big strategic attempt.
So micro versus macro between these two teams.
Yep. Definitely.
That is a stark difference. Seemed like Koi had some issues getting it up. And actually, James, I will want you to talk to us about our map bans because we're going to bring them up in just a second. And I'm wondering how strategies will go in our BO3 here. It's 4 bans first, then pick, ban, decider. Koi has picked border. They'll start on the attacking side. SSG has gone for bank. They started on attack also. Then Clubhouse is our decider. So how do you see this going off of the strategies and all that we talked about?
Well, I'm just going to jump straight into the first map, Border. This is not something we've seen Koi play so far this event, but of course, SSG's the record that they don't want to hold is the fact that they got 7-0'd yesterday by W7M, and guess what? That was on Border. So I think this is a bit of a last-minute choice for Koi. They're saying, look, we can see a clear map that SSG have a weakness on, and they are going to just go straight on for it. So I think it's a really good decision. It's not one Koi have banned a lot. They did let it through in the ban phase as the 3rd map against Elevate. And so I'm keen to see how SSG can repair the issues that they had yesterday. Koi did play this map back in October in the EUL League, but that was against G2. It was a fairly convincing 7-2 win, but they haven't shown any new strategies or tactics on it as of recent times. And so I think they'll be quite well positioned to take the first map.
I think going into this, just from SSG point of view, Skyscraper, Villa going out, yeah, makes sense. These have been their auto bans for a pretty long time now. They don't really change. Going into map 2 and 3, I actually think that both of these maps lean in towards Koi's playstyle a little bit more. I think Koi picking Border is a really good pick for them in their playstyle, playing a little bit more tactics-based. It's a smaller map, so they can be a bit closer together. For SSG as well, they have a pretty poor performance on Border too. Then going over across to Bank, I think that I've seen Koi play Bank. Look, them on Bank, it's that classic Deepek and Spoit on Rogue when they use that yokai drone to hold onto that top square, that type of thing. They've got some little small tricks up their sleeve that I'm really impressed by. But I think if it does go to that map 3, SSG, I think will actually have the upper hand. They're very good at Clubhouse.
Well, you know, we have like 3 or 4 minutes before we actually get into game. And I want to talk about Border for just a second here because it seems like it's favoring teams that can just react in the moment. So you have an overall strategy and go in. Technically, after our conversation, seems like Koi is more apt for it.
I think so. I think they do. Border is one of those maps that it's a little bit smaller in architecture. You're a little bit closer to your teammates naturally as a result. It's one of those maps that has a lot of your hallways. The walls are soft. You can create rotation holes between rooms relatively easily, in my opinion. I just feel like Koi, if they're comfortable with the architecture of the map, if they're comfortable with making those smaller rotations without being cut off by SSG, I actually think they'll probably start running circles around the way that SSG play it, and I think they'll find it quite troublesome to deal with.
I have a couple of questions that I need to be answered, and the first one is how much do we take seriously the 7-0 loss from Space Station yesterday? Because the fact that map 1 went so poorly for them, I think had a huge mental impact on them going into map 2. And perhaps if Border was the first map, Space Station would have gotten a few rounds. Perhaps it would have been a completely different story against W7M. And so while I do want to call doom and gloom for SSG for map 1, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm also going to give Space Station some credit here too. Koi and the previous iteration, Rogue, has never ever beaten Space Station. Technically, the Rogue organization beat SSG when they had an NA team in US Nationals in 2018. But that is the only only match that Rogue or Koi has ever beaten this SSG organization or roster for that matter. So if anything, while I am kind of leaning towards Koi in form, I think Space Station have some things going for them, but they're going to have to get through map 1.
Do they have enough to get it across the border? Who do you see winning? Name a number.
I find it very hard to see Space Station winning border. I think that it'll go to the second map and Koi will have a chance to get the full 4 points. I'm really, you're pushing me hard, Yasan. I can't decide. I'm going to say Koi. I'm going to say Koi.
Toss a coin.
I'll toss a Koi.
Good grief. Good grief.
Hey, you're the one that duos with him.
I am the one that duos with him, and now I've got you as well.
Oh, well. Who do you see winning, Mandy?
I see 2 outcomes. I think Koi either close it out 2-0. If they don't close it out 2-0, I think they'll lose Clubhouse. So it's either 2-0 Koi or 2-1 SSG.
I see also 2 outcomes. It's very odd. Good thing that we see it. Either SSG wins or Koi wins.
Yeah, but like in that fashion.
Yeah, in the detail, I'm just being cheeky.
Just
Just being cheeky. Anyways, thank you very much, James and Mandy. That was our pregame for SSG going up against their opponents. So Koi, it's classic NAU. Off to our casters. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. Welcome to the casting desk. I'm Des, this is Tim, and we're in for a screamer of a match between Koi and SSG. Where did it go wrong, Tim?
You changed the lines.
God damn it. What was it meant to be? We've got a screamer of a
Hang on. We can rescue it. We can rescue it.
How
do they build that synergy?
Yay! Got there in the end. We'll take it. We tried, Tim.
You failed.
I messed up. Not for the first time in my life. Okay, Koi versus SSG. Actually, a really big fixture I'm super excited about for several reasons. The map V2 have had come through for both of these teams. 5 kind of like high-pref maps both teams have got up in the top right cluster of a graph. The other 4 down in the dumpster. We are going to the team's 3 favorite maps, or 3 of their favorite maps. So there should be high-quality stuff. There should be no big, difference here in play between the 2 sides. I know that border has been a bit of a tough sore topic for SSG after they got 7-0'd on it, but they are no slouches on the map. Neither are Koi, so I'm expecting fireworks in our first game, Tim.
I can't believe we've taken an L before we've even started the stream.
Do you want to do it again?
Can we? Is that?
I think we can.
I mean, I got it right the first time. I feel like I can do it again.
Oh, we've got a screamer of a series between Koi and SSG. It's easy.
All right.
Don't do it.
It wasn't easy for you first time around.
I don't know, mate. Performance anxiety.
Obviously.
I don't know why it changed so last second, but it did. It's a shame because the ending was the best part with the whole.
It really was.
Oh, do they build that synergy?
Absolutely bottled.
It went so well in practice. Oh well. Go on, Tim. Get me excited about this game. This is what you do really well.
I'm really looking forward to this one. So when we look at Group A, anything could still happen with Group A. It's W7M obviously through, but when we talk about top spot, it is still possible for teams to overtake them. Koi are in a very good position, for example, if they were to take 4 points today, 4 points off W7M tomorrow, then Koi will top the group. It may be a big ask, but it is still doable. It's doable for SSG to top the group. With a 4-point win here, a good result tomorrow, and then relying on Koi to take points, etc. etc. But yeah, there's still lots that can happen in this group. The one thing that I would say, obviously, depending on what happens in the other game between Elevate and G2, we may be in a position where the other 4 teams have qualified, essentially. Yeah. But don't let that take away any of the drama, because they are going to be scrapping over those top spots because they want the upper bracket spots. They don't want to be going in and having extra games to play or, fewer chances kind of thing. So it's still very, very much important as to how these 3 teams particularly finish 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
I'm just not convinced that we're ever going to see Crying get to play Nook in this tournament as well. It's banned away all the time. I think mainly because now we're down to only 8 frag grenades in the game possible across 4 operators. Obviously, I believe it's Fuse, Iana, saying that right, Fuse, Iana, Nook and Sledge. Taking the Nook away, 1 takes away the target ban, takes the target ban, 2 Crying, but also takes 2 of those frag grenades off the board, so a really good ban coming out of SSG. And the Decabi, I've said it over the last 2 days, Tim, just super oppressive when she's on side. Not at all surprised to see her banned away, and the last 2 make complete sense.
Yeah, like I sort of said yesterday, really, for me, a lot of the time now when I'm looking at the bans, obviously there's the interest in who has been banned, but there's also a big interest in who has not, who's made it through, you know, and how does that affect the lineup in the game. Now, Valkyrie's made it through, for example, not been picked just yet, but there's that opportunity for Valkyrie to be brought along. Solus has made it through, so we've got Crying on the IQ. It all plays into, you know, having to change things around as it is. You know, those haven't been picked up just yet, but I am certain that we will be seeing some Solus as a minimum through this game.
I'm wondering if Koi have just blindly believed there was going to be a Valk or a Solus on side, and that's why the IQ is.
What I'm wondering, yeah, if they've just not sent the drones in out of safety and thought, you know, not really got the entire line. Because the thing is, you're not the difficulty that attackers have got now. They send in the drones to find out the lineup. If there's a Solus on there, they're losing the drones. So it's one of those, it's a catch-22. Do you go in to try and find that there's a Solus, or do you just leave it and guess that there might be?
That's exactly it. Here we go then. Yeti holding out inside of CC right now, looking to hold back some of the pressure from Break, but from downstairs, it's Spoit, the little demon from hell, finds him on the shutdown. That's the entry in this series, hot and cold, looking to try and get something back on the other side, but it's simply not happening.
Just going to be holding the line on the balcony there, Kanto. He's playing from the 90-degree angle on the corner. He can watch both potential run-outs. Rampy's going to take a bit of damage there as well, down to about 50. We've had a few exchanges on both sides at the minute. Spoit and Kanto also taking, I won't even call it chip damage, it's a bit more than that. But looking pretty good so far for Koi. They've got themselves 1 kill on the board. They've got a minute 40 left on the clock, so plenty of time to go. SSG have largely been forced back in towards site and that sort of semi-extension area in office. So Koi can get to work.
Alrighty, it's one of those ones where I'm just kind of concerned for Rogue more than anything. Rogue, I'm going to keep saying this, I've been doing it every day. More concerned for Koi because they still haven't unsettled a couple of the players from SSG that have been in these real power positions. They're taking it quite slow. It reminds me of Dark Zero yesterday. No real pace being shown just yet, and Hot and Cold's going to find one for free here without being pushed as a team. 2 kills coming back for SSG, a 3 versus 3, and numbers are drawn even.
That little segment there of the round has worked out really well for SSG, leveling things up and getting a couple of big operators off the board, particularly the sledge you mentioned, obviously, you know, the limited grenades and utility that is on the side of the attackers, particularly for explosives, and so taking Leon down is going to be a big use there. Now Fultz is on the Aruni, he's got his laser gate in front of him, but the wall I think has been reinforced as well behind it, so yep, they did have that sort of wall open to begin with, but the reinforcement just thrown up there to shift the strategy, and I like that from SSG, a nice bit of adaptability.
It is, yeah, final 30 seconds coming out. This is the frustration point for Koi, I think, as well as they realise that they're going to have to just force this one a bit gung-ho, push into sight and try and make some magic happen. They're down a couple of operators, 3 claymores in back pocket, not really any use when it comes to the execute. The problem is, Tim, they're the other side of the map with 15 seconds still to go. They've got to get a bit of a jog on here if they want to get their way through. There's no clearance inside of office itself, which means they are walking into a slaughter. Crying finds one, Fultz another. Spoit is not for too long for this world as he's down to a slither of HP. SSG tucking themselves away, and they barely had to move their feet that round.
That was great play from the 3 of SSG that remained after the first minute or two. You know, Koi came in, got themselves a nice entry kill, started to get positioned around the map, and you thought, you know, this is looking good for them. But there was just then that passage of play at around the minute mark where SSG managed to pick up a couple of kills, and it really broke the back of the Koi attack. They just didn't really maintain the shape after that. They didn't really have any direction. And like you say, it came down to that last 15-second run-in. Let me tell you now, if an attacking team is running into sight with 15 seconds left to go, then the round has gone wrong. And Koi obviously going to have to change things up this time. Now, they're going to be pushing into a similar position. They're going to be pushing into the top floor, because I imagine that's where we're going to see SSG largely holding. Yes, Frostmat's already being deployed up there. We've got reinforcements going on the armory wall, I would guess. And they're going to be trying... No reinforcements on the armory wall just yet. But they're going to be keeping hold of the top floor for as long as possible.
10 seconds left.
The thing I worry about from watching that last round now, I keep on thinking about it more and more, is it reminds me so much of the DZ secret game yesterday, where DZ, for those who didn't see the game, did often just kind of sit back and, sort of on the attacking side, but quite slow. They took things very slow in the same way we saw Koi do. And Secret some rounds had to just wait for them to come in at the last 20 seconds and bring out a bit of a slaughter. And I go back to how Koi were on day one. It was very messy and individual play out of them, when normally their strength is their ability to execute and play as a team. If they don't get that back online, this could turn out to be a really difficult series for them. But let's see how rounds 2 and 3 go. Yeti being droned out, so that's a key bit of information. Inside 25 seconds, they know there is a player inside of CC. Now the big thing to look out for is how they deal with this. Are they going to drone in 3, 4, 5 times over? Are they going to get 2 players trying to push into at least guarantee a trade? Or are they just going to let the clock run down and do nothing, Tim?
Well, with the Solus on side, they need to be aware of that as well. Hotton obviously going to be feeding that information in, and if they stood on drones, guess what? He can see them. There we go. He knows that one's coming in, going to have a look, can't find himself a kill, but... Oh, no, he does. He manages to get it. Kanto backs out because there's a challenge, I think, from Yeti inside of CCTV, and it just forced him into the line of sight. And again, Des, what an excellent opportunity we've just had to see the power of Solus in action.
I mean, Yeti's even looking and trying to take different gunfights, assuming he's going to get pushed at the same time, but once again, it was only Spoit looking to make the move. And here he is trying to peek off down the left-hand side. Fultz takes him out for free. A second player is nearly dying to the exact same spot that Kanto did. Koi lost him.
That was the strange one for me. Kanto died on that door. The floor's opened up below it, and they're just walking in through there. They're not even looking down, and obviously they're going to take a ton of damage. Now then, Leon does manage to get things going. In behind that EU1D scan, he moves in, gets a kill onto Yeti, brings us back to 3 versus 4, but Cryan's going to be shut down. That's the Hibana gone, so no more hard breach if they wanted any. Unlikely that they would need it on this site, so they can live without, but 2 versus 4 is not a great situation.
Absolutely not. They're up on the upstairs as well. Down goes Leon as he steps into a frost mat as well. Boys, where's the team that won the Berlin Major? Still missing, it feels, as well. I know they were in low spirits today, and I kind of gave them a pass in game 1, but there's no excuse to still be playing like this coming into the 4th day of SI 2023. Should be well warmed up by now. But SSG playing like liquid around them and just waiting to let them step into anywhere where they feel they can drown them out once they make a push forward. Some great 1v1s being taken by SSG that has closed Koi out of this round.
Yeah, SSG have largely dropped back to the bottom floor now. They're just waiting for the push to come in. They're not necessarily all on site, but they are just holding angles strategically that they know Koi are going to have to play into. I don't think Leon's aware of the man led behind the desk. He's maybe going to get lucky. No, he does have half an idea. He's at least checking the angle, but Rampe, just too quick, manages to get that kill with the Frost, and that leaves Deepek with it all to do. We know that he can. We've seen it countless times, but 1v4, 14 seconds left to go. I'm not sure we're going to be seeing it this time.
Absolutely not. This will just time out and go up to that 2-0. Koi, I don't really, I mean, I imagine they could too. I always speak about the early timeouts if things aren't going well. Every time we've cut to the camera of them so far, it's been silence. No one's really talking. There's no, even a little bit of like emotion being shown, even if it's a little bit negative, just shows that there's a bit of life there. But the boys were a little bit deadpan after the previous round. SSG also nice and calm too, it's worth noting, but gotta see a bit more. Look.
Both teams very quiet at the moment. Obviously, we're early in the game, so there's not going to be much that needs to be said.
But it's leadership that I'm missing, and Leon's the guy I'm looking at here.
Particularly from Koi.
He needs to really. I mean, everyone saw Mr. Officer's speech. Like, my God, I could run a marathon after hearing that every morning.
I did this morning.
Oh, did you?
I watched it on Twitter, and I just got up and immediately ran a marathon.
You were the guy running barefoot in shorts through the streets of Montreal, despite it being like mine.
Not a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Just kept thinking about that speech in my mind.
The thing is, it's just no longer plausible that no one will be able to do that, because yes, it was that motivational. But this is where I want to see a little bit of leadership out of Leon here, and of course we get brilliant insight in seeing what the players are doing, but being able to say, right boys, we've died in really silly places there, but unable to pinch this player. Let's go and push a new angle. Let's adapt how we're playing here. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Let's get things moving. That's the kind of thing I need to see coming out of Koi, I think, if they're going to have any success in this first half. SSG can carry on exactly as they are. They can stay cool as a cucumber and keep on playing the same game, because why fix what ain't broken?
Okay, Koi largely set up to try and hold on to CCTV, opening the hatches. SSG opening the hatches. Yeti's going to be positioned in the same place on the cap can, just trying to prevent that top floor access. Again, they know that the battle's going to come over the top floor, even in bathroom and tellers. They're going to have to hold on to a larger area, really. Last time they focused around armory, archives and office. This time they're keeping hold of CCTV as well, basically going for the entire top floor. Fultz is going to get himself one here. Oh, so close, but no! Spoit with a beautiful headshot on the reverse angle.
It's good to find it out. They were playing him with the trade as well. Kanto pushing just in front of Spoit. Ultimately, he was the one who picked up the kill. Now, does Yeti know about the one more? Yes, he does. Sat inside of Archives. Good read, but no one there to respond. Bosco finding Leon elsewhere. So although we had Spoit and Kanto pushing in together elsewhere, it feels like Koi have lost 2 separate points of push. They get 1 freebie from above with Bosco setting a single step wrong. 3v3.
Hotton is not putting castle barricades on main door halfway through the round. I am not having it. I am not having it. He should not be getting away with that. He's on low health anyway, and that's the sort of thing that really needs to be getting punished. It's 3 versus 3 at the minute. SSG are certainly looking the better team. They are losing bodies along the way. Koi are managing to find kills, so that's something for them to build on at least. They've got a little bit of top floor control now, so not terrible. Hot and cold, don't get excited. It's just the Gemini decoy.
Shoot and move, shoot and move. Doesn't want to stay still, knowing that he could get pre-fired on the spot or the ceiling above him being opened up. As we're now seeing coming out of Kanto with those breaching charges. Always fun with Ash when you have breaching rounds and breaching charges on the same operator. Really does test your ability to say the right word, Tim, which, believe it or not, is harder for me than it looks. Either way,
I learnt that in the intro, Des.
We even practiced. Honestly, I'm so disappointed.
We're going to have to. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Let's do it tomorrow. I love how we have the same idea at the same time. That's already
it's almost as if we're completely in sync. Don't watch the intro back.
It's on Twitter, it's too late. Hot and cold is moving away as again more of these breaching charges, breaching rounds, breaching charges are going off. A nade rolling on through from Spoit. So, Koi have taken things slow with the time they've got available, which is good, I think, but they've got to be so conscious of the backstab coming out of Yeti. They have no drones out on the field, there's nothing left. 2 of them are dead in the back pocket of Leon and Cryin, but here we go, Kanto on the flank watch brings down 1. It's all down to Rampy against 3.
This is better from Koi, and they've... Oh, Rampy! What a shot! Sit down, Deepek, taken down out of the window, but Rampy unlikely to get much more than a bit of a flare kill there as he's down to 10, 15 HP, and surely a matter of time, 14 seconds left to go, but they don't have the diffuser. Desi might do this. This was 1v3, let's not forget. They don't have the diffuser. Out goes an aid from Spoit. He's not going to find it. And surely not Rampy! What a performance in that round! 1v3, and it all started with a kill that I thought would be the only one he'd find.
Reset. Good fucking round, Rampy.
Let's go, baby.
Can't understand shit, bro.
Let's get these next 3 attacks first.
Kanto, can I smash Kanto?
Oh boy. Oh boy. You can't be losing those boys. They played it so well up until those last 20 seconds or so, and then kind of panicked, isolated into these 1v1s, and it's the M&M effect, Tim, losing the XV1s that just never seems to come their way. Great play by Rampy, and I was a little bit panicked for him at first because he planted his feet behind the toolbox. Koi must have known exactly where he was, but still could not find the shots to finish him off and started to panic as soon as we got in towards those last 10. Beautiful play by Rampy. Good to see him getting some numbers up. He has been a little bit quiet so far at this SI. Koi again are going to be kicking themselves, and you heard Leon. Boys, let's get these next 3 rounds. I think it's going to take a few more words than that, Leon, to turn this ship around.
Honest. The thing is, there's a lesson to be learned for Koi there. I don't know exactly what happened to the diffuser in all the chaos at the end of the round there, but the fact of the matter was that the 2 remaining players who went in there in that one, when it come down to 1v2, they didn't have the diffuser in hand, and with 15 seconds left to go, they didn't have an option to retrieve it, and it limited their options in the round. They had to go for the kill. It forced them. Rampy is unlikely to be able to challenge a plant going down. If they had the diffuser there available, they could get in, they could plant it in the shower area behind the wall, they've got protection. There's no way that Rampy can make that challenge with his low health. So, you know, you just got to be making sure, and I know that the circumstances may have been, if it's dropped outside the window,
that's exactly it.
I know that, I know, but Koi,
they knew they had to
dying outside of the window with the diffuser in a 3v1.
This is the thing, because Kanto was risking that window jumping, not expecting Rampy to be on the toolbox, and because he was, well, the diffuser's down outside, they can't recover it, they can't get outside the building based on where they are, so they have to look for the kill. It was just a little bit missed.
Rampy must love us casting him.
Oh, I mean, what, round 1 of SI 2020 got an ace, didn't he?
I couldn't say, us casting Rampy at SI just creates highlight.
He can pay us on PayPal later on. Yeti the first one to fall down in this round, at least a slower start for him, sat at 1 and 4 as well. Leon looking to make use of these nades, but they're not aware of the flank. Hot and cold has got himself down from Cash CC into, well, Cash CC, I'm right, the wrong map there, from CC and Break Room downstairs, and has managed to get a response. 2 dead on the side of Koi in the space of a few seconds, but Spoit Whew, slap that one in a YouTube reel, boy.
Absolutely beautiful. Second one that he's had so far today is definitely a positive for this Koi side, and they can, you know, maybe try and facilitate him, get him in, get him firing even more numbers onto the board, and it might just be something that they can build behind. The thing that I will give to Koi, you know, I don't want to just be on the backs. They've kept the man count very, very level. They've done a good job of that. They've, you know, where they're taking those double kills and they're dropping behind, they're not being beaten by it. They're coming back in, they're finding their frags, and they're leveling things up. Beautiful from Deepak, much better. Can get himself thinking about going into office if he wants to now. That's likely clear. 2 remaining inside of sight for SSG, but this is the problem, Des. This is where Koi have been a number of times now, and they've thrown the round away. They've not taken the opportunity. Cryin has diffuser in hand. Get thinking about how and where it's going to be planted.
They've got the gadgetry for it as well.
They do.
I mean, you've got a 3v2 with the Ying on side. Candelas, smokes, you've got everything to play behind her, including one of the world's best gunners in Spoit with a frag grenade in the back pocket on Naniana. They have the tools to get this done. They've already found themselves losing a 3vx scenario. Surely it doesn't happen again.
Hotton's gone underneath on the Valkyrie. He doesn't have the nitros. He has impact in hand. He's got 1 remaining. There is a bulletproof cam that's been placed originally by Fultz as well, so there could be information here. With 15 seconds left to go, Des, just watch Hotton underneath. I'm not sure how aware of this. If they plant... No, he's moved back up. I was going to say, if they plant somewhere that can be seen on that cam, then that's going to be a problem. Shut down as he comes in through the metal detector. Surely no. He's able to continue fighting. He gets one with the deagle. Surely that's the end of it, though. Yes, it is, as Koi move in and get the kill and their first round on the board. They're going to be hoping that that breaks the seal.
Deepak, we're talking about that one later on. Jesus. Coming up against the Valk as well. Really should be closing those kind of ones out. But either way, the team is there. They're playing for the trade as the reload was coming through. Good bit of team play out of Koi. And as you say, Tim, finally now on the board. That shot from Spoit. Just, it's a Spoit classic.
I think, you know, obviously I mentioned the bulletproof cam. You've got the 3 black eyes as well, so 4 potential cams in there. But what I'm guessing is that Koi had probably done a good job of clearing some of that utility out. I think Hotton was probably down there, and it was a case of, look, if you can give me the information of where this plant's going to go down, I'll potentially play it from underneath and deny it. And I think at that point, maybe there's been a com there to say, look, we don't have the cams to do this. They've gone. So he's had to move his way back upstairs. But still, you know, a good rounder from Koi. They got the job done. They rotated around. They got that diffuser into sight. It was more of what we want to see from them.
Another wide hold coming out here by the looks of from SSG with a little bit of prep work inside of CC. Also with the castle barricades on side, looking to at least tie down certain areas of the map. A lot of information being played in between behind the Pulse and the Valk, and a C4 in the back pocket of the Mute. So liking the lineup that we've got here. Does mean Koi, though, really should have the opportunity to collapse down on 1 or 2 members who find themselves isolated. Truthfully, looking towards the ones that are playing inside CC, like Yeti. Now, where they struggled before is collapsing as a team onto these members that are holding in key places like this. So whether or not Yeti gets the spook and backs away a little bit sooner, or if we find that actually Koi once again are a little bit stuck in trying to clear out a really critical area of the map, remains to be seen. One thing I did note was the castle barricade going down on the security window, though, means that the player playing up there, Yeti, is a little bit safer than normal.
I like that play from Hotton, just down there, you know, challenging into detention, just making Spoit back off a little bit. They can't rush in, he can't just aggress like that, but Hotton doesn't take any damage, gets himself away, goes to an alternate angle to be able to feed information in. Hotton's playing a really good game so far today.
I think it's great use of him, but the positioning here is brilliant as well. Normally quite a hot zone CC, but because of the more passive pressure coming out of Koi, they can afford to move 2 players in here and get the cardiac sensor scanning on the outside. They know everything that's coming here. Look at him, feeding every information that there are 3 players out there on the south side, and all Yeti's got to do is point his gun skyward. Impact coming out there does chip onto Leon. Surprised it caught him there, to be honest, but there's 2 of them ready to swing as the C4 comes out, connects onto the IGL of Koi, and down goes Leon.
Again, more from Hotton. He's just really delivering time after time at the minute. Kanto's going to hold the angle there. I'm not sure that he's going to be finding his man. He's going to have to go in. Nope, going to be shut down on the window again by Hotton, who swings and gets another. They're just giving him 1v1 after 1v1.
And this is Koi's problem, and it's been the problem for the last few days. They're playing as a team of individuals, not as a team. Kanto peeks to the 1v1. Iana comes in completely blind. It looks like a bit of a clown show, being honest. They're tripping over themselves, trying to make plays happen. I mentioned earlier on that they've struggled to break through CC so far, so SSG feel very comfortable abusing the space that's afforded to them, and they are just deleting Koi every single gunfight they come into. Something needs to change, boys.
Yeti and Hotton have had a fantastic round in
unbelievable.
VCTV. They've absolutely dominated them. Fultz is going to find the long angle through the laser gate from the half wall. He's going to find another one if Crichton isn't careful. He's going to be down to about 5 HP there. Dips himself away. And sometimes you'd look at this situation and say maybe he's just trying to bait 1 or 2 of them out, get a couple of kills. I'm really not sure that that's the case at this point. He knows that there's nothing to be done here. And Koi, they're going to be having an urgent discussion. I think you can see there, Crichton paying attention elsewhere. I think obviously the chat is ongoing.
I mean, it gives them a solid 45 seconds really to have this conversation, right? Because they so sorely need it, as we mentioned. You're seeing things just fall into tatters. And again, this is where you've got to see some leadership inside the team here. Whether it's Meepy calling in the timeout, whether it's the players themselves having a conversation, I don't mind which, but someone needs to step up here and get these boys aligned. I know we're really honed in on Koi, but it's only because we know they can do so much more. I am really excited to see SSG's attacks going. If they are, you know, really potent with those, because their attacks have looked good. There's definitely more to come. And I just wonder that this might be a bit of a rollover, to be honest, for Koi, who are going to throw themselves on the back. Koi will
I think there's 2 things happening, Des. You know, obviously I recognise there, and I agree with you, you know, that we need to be conscious of giving SSG the praise that they're due as well.
Yes, we do.
There's 2 things happening. Koi are losing it, and SSG are winning it. And that's why this is such a steamroller in.
A few words have been exchanged.
Someone just go and tell his window to start with, for example.
I mean, they are a team that, I remember for the longest time they would joke and say, we don't scrim. When they come to events, they prefer to focus on the mental, relax, you know, don't worry too much about scrimming. And they're quite a dynamic team. They don't come in with like massive strat books and loads of strats they roll out. Of course, there are kind of natural ones built into your head on the best way to play a site, but they're not really that kind of team that come in super heavily prepped and find themselves being locked out when things get too static and they get caught off guard. They are designed to be a really adaptive team. But this is the bad side of that adaptive team. When you look a little bit lost on ideas, when you even heard Leon there saying, okay, well, here, for example, is something we could do. Again, it's where you need a leader to step up and say, here's what we are going to do and make it happen.
Right then, into round 6 we go. SSG's final defence. Keep your eyes firmly on Hot and Cold, particularly having a fantastic game so far, absolutely dominating the defence of Border. He's been unstoppable. He's going to be on the key this time. We've seen him on Valkyrie, we've seen him on Solis. You know, plenty of variety coming around and just getting a great job. We've seen him on Pulse as well. You know, so just absolutely nothing stopping him at the minute.
Kanto's on his march forward as well, seeing what he can achieve. Playing alongside Spoit, it feels we've had that as a bit of a duo stacking up throughout. Now Yeti feeling clearly extremely confident. It's no longer about holding just CC by itself. It's now looking to own the balcony outside it as well. Supported by Hot and Cold playing off on 90. Remembering again that they're not actually holding that as the site, of course, isn't a site on Border, but it's just the amount of time that they know they're going to be able to drain away from Koi, who once again step into isolated 1v1. Spoit caught out with so much of a whisper from anyone else on the side of Koi.
Yep, and that's the one sort of sharp point that Koi have got at the minute is Spike going in and getting kills. And that's not going to happen due to yet another Hot and Cold kill. Now then, Crichton's going to put down Fultz. That levels things out. Something that I have praised Koi for so far is their ability to recover that man count and not end up playing entire rounds at a disadvantage. Hotton's going to throw out the nitro, not going to have any joy. Yeti, he overstays his welcome in CCTV. Leon taking a full opportunity there when he sees the leg coming across to find that kill. That's going to give the advantage now to Koi. 4 versus 3.
Bosco was sniffing through a drone to come through that tiny little hole on the ceiling there as well, but couldn't quite find it. Now, yes, we are in that numbers advantage. I'm only nervous because of how the previous 3v1 went down, with Rampy clutching up big time. But they're in a good spot. They've got 75 seconds to play with. They've still got a lot of breaching rounds. 9 of them, for example, breaching charges, sorry. Again, catching me out. 9 of those in back pocket. There is a lot of floor space they can open up here to make it uncomfortable for SSG playing on the site itself. But right now, they're just sitting and waiting to see what comes next. You've still got the Solis running around off site currently in vents. In fact, now Malaya is inside of site. I saw a player to the north and thought it might be Solis out there sniffing out exactly what's going on. But 2 on site, 1 playing off right now. Potential backstab coming in for Rampy.
Just going to have the sledge up above the site now, starting to work on things. Crichton going to be opening up those vertical angles, just trying to find anything inside the site. But to be honest, SSG have largely dispersed away from the site now. And as you said, as here comes Rampy. No, but can they get the kill? No! They just stand there and let him get his shots in. Kanto taken down with a headshot. Rampy, he's out of there. Damage done. The thing is, it's not just about the kill there. It's the fact that it takes Koi's eye off the ball. They now have to worry about that flank 15 seconds.
Still got things like castle barricades up to support them playing on the flank here as well. It looks really, really ropey for Koi as they lose yet another one. Surely not another man advantage going against them, it feels like. As Cryin steps through, finds one, manages to push around the corner and find the next. Maybe, yes, no. Gets one down, but there's still one standing as the plant is going down. Can Rampy find his man? He's got to win the 1v1 behind the bomb chassis, but can't quite find Cryin. They know where it's gone down, and now he's in a 2 versus 1.
Rampy's got to do it again. We've seen him 1v3. Can he do it 1v2? This time the diffuser's down, which adds an extra layer of difficulty. He's working against the clock. He's going to set off that metal detector, which should just tell Koi exactly where he's pushing from. There's the final shot from Deepak. That was a nice end to the round from Koi. It was a big contrast to the 1v3 that Rampy won. They focused on that objective. They had the tools that they needed, got it down on the ground, and were able to close it out. Well played, Koi.
A lot of it coming from Cryin as well. Yep. Got the entry early in the round, moved his way forwards, made a big couple of kills here, come through for his team. Otherwise, this could have gone extremely wrong, as they'd have had the ability to deny the plant going down inside of supply, and a good 2v1 being played out at the end, again involving Cryin. So, here we go with the side swap. Not going to lie to you, Tim, at a 4-2 scoreline, it feels like Koi has stolen a couple of rounds there. I think on the rounds where SSG have won, they've looked incredibly dominant. The ones with Koi, a little less so, though some maybe would argue it could be a 3-3 if they hadn't given away that 1v3 against Rampy.
Well, this is it. There's lots of ways to look at it. You know, I would look at those 6 rounds and I'd say that SSG absolutely look like the superior team. I think, you know, anybody would probably struggle to argue that point. You know, SSG do look like the superior team. That said, they've only got a 4-2. So you've got to ask, have SSG, you know, done enough? They've looked very good. Have they capitalised enough on Koi's weakness? You know, should SSG be 5-1-6-0? If we get towards the end of this and Koi starts stringing a couple of rounds together on defence and all of a sudden it's 4-4, I'm sure, you know, we probably are going to have to ask that question.
We'll see if we get to that point. Here we go. See how sharp SSG can look on their attacks. Big one for me, really, when I think about SSG, is historically they were one of the more, you know, air quote, structured teams that could pull together some really good attacks. When I was sat speaking to Fresh earlier on, we were both saying how realistically between the two teams there is a very big difference in style, where SSG do like a little bit more structure. Koi, as we already commented, prefer to play it as a very loose structure, playing around each other, but otherwise trying to kind of formulate a plan as they work their way through the map. Keeps you hot on your toes and able to adapt with whatever you might come across. But for SSG, not quite sure how theirs is going to shape up. If they have good attacks here, Tim, it sets them up well for Bank as well, I feel, because the two maps feel quite similar in terms of the attack and lean that they've got, the scope of the map there is to work your way through, to take control of it quite quickly. That pace is going to be important, though.
Spike just missing his man on the peak there. It was unfortunate for him. Just couldn't quite see the feet. We're going to have SSG just testing a couple of different areas here. They've dropped away from East Stairs now, relocating to maybe try and get themselves inside of CCTV and break. Hotton's just going to clear more of that off for the time being. But yeah, it's sort of shifted round to that south side a little bit more than the Archives door, which was where the initial attention went.
What I will give is, much like when Koi were on the attack, there has been a player that's been left very much uninterrupted so far inside of CC and able to work a little bit of backstab, contest the 90 hallway, for example. That will need to be dealt with by SSG, I imagine, before they can really look to make a big push in towards the site itself. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that one and seeing how they pinch into this player.
Fultz just slowly making his way in there, trying to check his angles. Prox Alarm is going to give his position away. Spite is in a opportunity maybe to challenge. He's got his rotation opened up. He does manage to find one onto Bosco and could keep going here. They've not really got an answer to him at the minute. He's going to move himself a little bit further back into Sandwich, which is a slightly safer location. And SSG really need an answer, and that answer is going to be the Selma Chargers potentially, but he's got a mute jammer on this wall, I believe, that's just next to him. I think I'm right in saying that, so they're not going to be able to breach through.
This one by his feet.
Yes, yeah. Just by his feet. So he's hiding that, but they won't be able to breach that sandwich wall.
Cryin and Rampy. We've seen quite a lot of these like direct trades the last few days, and it's weird because it's on LAN as well, but literally to the exact moment, they trade each other, a bullet comes out, hit each other's skulls, and they trade a kill perfectly in the same moment, both taken out of the round. Still a numbers advantage for Koi, though, as getting towards these last 30 seconds. Things not looking so bad. Hot and Cold looking for what he can find. He's just getting side peeked on by two players. Finds one with a bit of help from Yeti and is now looking to work his way forwards, but unlucky not to find the man inside of sight.
Spoit still in this power position at Sandwich, gets himself another kill, and it's just going to keep coming. Nade comes out, does not manage to find the mark, need to be bouncing it on in there really. Spoit keeping himself tight against that wall, knows that the last one's coming in, third kill of the round, and that is going to be a big one for Koi. And as I said, really, SSG might be in a position of, they played very well through the first half, but might be ruining the fact that they didn't get that 5-1 or even 6-0.
That's exactly it. And you're seeing, I think, a lot of the same issues there for SSG that we saw for Koi back in that first half, where there's a little more team play coming together. There's a good trade here, for example, when Hot and Cold looks to be done for, but gets a good assist from Yeti off towards his left-hand side. So they are pushing in these things together at the same time and punishing Rogue in small areas. But Spoit was left for far too long, far too comfortably hanging out inside of Office, another key part of the map that you really want to be looking to control. Either you're looking for CC control if you want to push West Wall, or you're looking for Office control if you want to be able to push in towards Archives. But really, SSG only just about managed to get control of CC late in the round and then didn't want to push there. They had to work their way in through Office and found themselves getting tagged out by Spoit, who had been largely unignored and collected 3 kills in the round.
Going to be Bathroom and Tellers for round 8. Space Station, I feel, really need to be looking at getting a win sooner rather than later on the attack. They want to maintain that advantage that they've gained in the first half, or the momentum might just be leached away a little bit, and we'll see Koi really growing into this game, which could be obviously a big problem for SSG. Now, we're going to have castle barricades downstairs in Workshop, so that's going to be a little hideaway for Leon, I think. He's going to be getting himself set up to extend out into there. He's got the bulletproof cam on the bathroom wall as well. So we quite often see this extension out into Workshop. Again, it's just trying to, give a little bit more space for the defenders and a bit less freedom for the attackers.
It's good working already, though. JL pushed all the way through, and Rampy's got himself inside of Customs and Supply now, looking to move forward. Got Crying, unsurprisingly, holding upstairs inside of CC and just saying, okay, I want to be the first point of challenge that you guys have got to worry about. It's one up on the rappel outside, but they keep on seeing him on these drones, but really can't do much about it yet, as the players aren't in position to capitalize either on the break room door or through the window inside of security.
Rampy got himself into Customs. Doesn't know it, but there's a potential challenge coming his way from towards the waiting area double door. For the time being, I think they're probably going to sort of skirt around each other for now and just flirt with that opportunity. Crying's going to drop himself down as well. So SSG not doing a bad job of clearing out that top floor. We've got Crying moved down, and we've got Kanto on the east stairs as well. So they've been sort of forced back at this point, but there is still work for SSG to do. They've not got hold of Armory yet.
Not just yet, no. Not forgetting as well that they've got to get a full control across the top floor before they can even really think about the site. They've only gained, what, maybe 40% of the map at this point on the south side? Still work to be done to force these players away from Office, from Archives. Even the one that sat inside of Armory itself is a real threat. 3 of the players upstairs from Koi right now, hoping to burn that clock down the longer we get towards 0, with just 75 seconds left in the round.
Nitro going to go out to no success there, unfortunately, for Deepak. Hotton's going to be trying to move in and clear out east stairs. All he does is force Kanto into the waiting arms of Rampy, and that's going to be the opening kill of the round. With a minute left to go, Deepak manages to level things out with a late trade onto Hotton, and that leaves us now in a 4 versus 4. SSG still not in control of the top floor. They don't have any verticality. They've not really been able to push into a position to be able to execute on site, so there's lots for them to do in this final 40.
Yeti finding a big 2K, bringing it down to a 4v2, because otherwise for a second it looked all right for Koi in a 4v4. Not looking so clean no more. Spoit and Leon, the one with all to do to keep the dream alive here. Otherwise, SSG move up to 5-3 on the attack inside, and things suddenly start to look very, very sour.
Bosco, somewhat safe
I love the rat.
side.
I love the rat.
Just waiting for the feet to move across. But somewhat safe, not safe now. The trade comes in though as Fultz manages to find Leon.
There it is.
Spoit with the final kill onto Fultz though, and somehow Koi managed to dig that one out and level things up.
Good job, good job.
Big from Leon and Spoit as well. The boys coming together there in the middle of the team lineup. For a second it looked pretty done.
And they're fucking his boys, that's what I was expecting. Right, I've got a few things written down.
Got a few things written down. I hope you do, because there's no doubt some work still to be done. Just in case you wonder what our scoreboard currently looks like, Spoit sat at 11-5. Real game he's having, because he's been a bit up and down at points, Sophia Tim, but here, really starting to shine.
Let's make sure we have some urgency to push it forward. Like, these guys know that, like, if they just wait, they can sit in spots. We need to surprise them. We need to be just different than one-dimensional. So look to change up the pace. If we're in a good spot, make sure we're moving forward. If you feel like you can do a little bit more, like let's make sure we're working together.
We need to pick up the eye cadence. Like we're calling people out, and like the Legion is just like too quiet there, I think.
Okay. Let's go, guys. You got it. Let's go. I like that, Fultz. More ideas, more risk, boys.
There we go. SSG feeling that they're maybe not bringing enough aggression on the attack there, needing space. Yeah,
it seems to be a really like
get up in the face of Kai, surprise them, don't let them get settled.
Yeah, it's kind of become characteristic in a way of, I think, regions, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, this is the kind of conversation we'd have, that NA was the very slow, methodical, more strategic-leaning region. LATAM was like the hyper-aggressive, run-and-gun, ranky kind of play style, and EU sort of sat as a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a mongrel of the two coming together, to be honest. But I feel here you're seeing it kind of go back to old ways where Koi are the ones who like to play that slightly more, you know, flexible game, figure things out as you go. SSG, just a little bit too slow, a little bit too structured there, like and encouraging the boys to pick up the pace. If you make a call out, you see a player, act on it. Let's not sit and think about it for too long or deliberate. Be intentional with what it is you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, that's kind of the success, you know, that they saw in the first half was Kai struggling to get into position, struggling to be decisive, struggling to do those things. You know, so don't give them the time to do it because they're on defense. Get up in their face again, make them think fast, make them think on their feet. And obviously, like I'm thinking that's where the results may come from. So Kai have managed to level things up 4-4 now. They've won 3 out of the last 4 rounds. It's going very, very well for them. Well, 4 out of the last 5 actually, if you take it a couple more back. So Kai, despite a slow start, have really got themselves back into this matchup. We're going to be in round number 9. It's going to be customs and sorry, not customs, it's going to be workshop and ventilation.
I'm immediately seeing the Ying coming out from hot and cold. And I remember seeing an execute from, I want to say it was SSG in stage 3, but it may have been stage 2. They've had some really good executes on this map with this operator as well. Very well put together, normally Yinging out, for example, sandwich to really create chaos inside of the site, then behind smokes, plant inside of archives at the same time. So, we'll keep a close eye on SSG and what the game plan looks to be for this site, given it is on the downstairs, but I do expect it to be quite a direct site hit.
Leon putting in the work with the Solus, getting himself a couple of drones. Still 7 left on site for SSG. I'm going to take out that Claymore as well that he spots with his gadget, just to give an opportunity for the jump out if it should present itself. If nothing else, it gives SSG something to think about. Beautiful kill from Leon. Knows that Rampy is moving in through detention and threads the needle to find that headshot.
Pixel, perfect angle, absolutely. Straight onto the head of Rampy. That's a sledge off the board. 2 grenades, I think, also in his back pocket. Yeah, Fultz only with 1, so then pocket means the 2 are dead in the back pocket of Rampy. Bit of a stinger there as well, because knowing you're attacking vertically, those can be so valuable at raining them down from above once you establish that vertical control. Also worth stressing, they've got no breach. I'm on about. They've got no breach of charges in back pocket, therefore the sledge was their only way of getting real vertical control on the upstairs. A little bit screwed here, to be honest with you, Tim, because they can't play through any new verticals. They can only use what's already been created by Rogue. Bosco's there for the trade. Again, something else that SSG have done a couple of times that Rogue maybe fell short at is making sure there is a player in close proximity to trade out those kills.
That's Leon gone on the Solus as well, but largely the work is done there. 3 drones remaining for SSG, so they're going to be playing the remainder of this round with somewhat limited information, somewhat limited HP for Fultz as well, down to about 20 there after being collected. So that leaves us 4 versus 4. And SSG are going to have to start pushing. They haven't actually moved Kanto yet. They're going to be trying to do that now from Sandwich. If he's able to play on that hatch, it's dangerous, but there's the beautiful cover. It's actually Kanto who manages to find the headshot. Out he goes of the window. Can't find his man, but he can just keep pestering now and burning time. That's a bad Candela throw. It's not going to happen for Hot, and he's going to go in. Diffuser's going down. He's just throwing them wherever he can to try and support.
Do they get the spray down there? They're going to assume a default spot and maybe get it down, but no, Bosco sticks it. It is a 2 versus 4. There's a lot of work to do. Make it a 1 versus 4. It's simply not going to happen. Koi get the shutdown. They'll move up to 5 on 4 on what is becoming an increasingly scrappy and hectic border.
Great retake from Koi there. You know, remain calm, got the job done.
Tom's there got a bit hectic.
I thought that was VP there.
Fuck everywhere. Why is Zing running, shifting out? Bro, what?
I'm sorry, UB and ESL and Koi.
Bro, I fucked up Twitch.
We've got Koi just getting themselves another round there and putting themselves in the lead for the first time. It's going to be an important factor now as to how SSG, bring themselves back into this game, because for me, SSG, as I said, were the far superior team in the first half, and then I'm not really sure where that team has gone on the attack, and they're just not able to have anywhere near the same kind of impact. We've got to remember this is Koi's map. It is their choice, so we would expect them to, have at least a good half. They're gonna have to be able to do something if they picked it. But as we said coming into this, these are both reasonably high sort of preference maps for both teams.
That's exactly it.
We'd expect them both to be doing well.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see them kind of swap who wins either's map, to be honest. We know that Koi are a really good bank team. We've seen them play it so many times over in EUL. Often against G2 it feels as well. Throughout the year they matched up against them twice in stage play, won one, lost one, but played excellently in both of those. So we know they're a very high potential team on it. So yes, trade wouldn't feel too remiss. Spoit here looking to get a little bit cheeky out to his spawn as well. Still looking out towards the angle. Might lose his head if he's not too careful, but he's got to go in for that YouTube peek. Can't find his man and will back away.
He's doing very well, 12 and 5, definitely having an active game, and really, as I say, Koi just needs to keep facilitating that and keep him in the action because it's going well. He is being supported by the rest of the team as well. Leon starting to step up in the last couple of rounds, getting important kills and getting his numbers up as well. We're going to have...
No, he's screwed. He's screwed. They're about to drone him. There's no rotation coming out. They've got to know. They've got to know. He's got to be in trouble here.
He's got one on either side of him. They're going to start pressuring the window. I do have Nitro in hand here,
C4 the wall, question mark?
This is the potential. It's not ideal to make a rotate with, but he's happy burning time at the moment. There is an opportunity for him to escape with his life, maybe, but he's going to keep sticking at it.
He wants help. Kanto is coming over to help, but gets shut down in the process, and Cryin is gone as well. So potentially there, lost two where one would have just been enough. As soon as he was droned, I was like, there's no way he gets out of this alive.
He did manage to waste another 20-30 seconds, so not the end of the world. We can maybe come back to that moment should we see SSG struggling for time at the end of the round, but things are certainly not done for Koi here. Rampy knows that Kanto is going to appear any second and takes him down, but takes a lot of damage in doing so, and that leaves us now in a 4 versus 3, but Rampy on about half health, and this is definitely still doable for Koi.
Just sat waiting. Feels doable for SSG as well with the 4 versus 3. With those two being taken down, there's maybe one that's still working around off-site. The other two, you'd hope, are starting to head back towards home now. Mainly Spoit, 12 and 5, as we mentioned on that. RX has been doing a lot of work, and here he is still maneuvering around with a little bit of support out towards 90 as well. Not a full commit coming out from Leon, but just enough to make sure that they can test this angle together.
Leon just going to take down the drone. It was already caught in a mute jammer, but it does prevent it being collected at least and reused later on. Only 4 remaining for SSG now. Information may be thin on the ground, but yet he's got all the information he needs as he finds himself a headshot onto Spite, and Koi being picked apart one player at a time, and you start looking towards that question again, Des. We're potentially going to go 5-5 here, and we've started seeing a lot more overtime over the last couple of days, and we might have a bit more on the way. Bosco able to take down Leon as he tried to get aggressive on the window, and it's all up to Deepak. A lot of damage done there. It's going to be Capcan traps. It now leaves 1v4, few on low health, but Bosco, he's going to get that diffuser down and planted, and it's all up to Deepak.
I was about to say, you heard the story of the young Deepak 1 versus 4. I did, but it was back in Berlin, not at SI23. Shut out there very comfortably by SSG, and we're into a tactical timeout.
Yeah, the tactical timeout is going to be called. Not too much of a surprise. I think, we're at that stage. I don't like to see him called when we go on to the map point, but at this stage, I think it's a good choice.
Use kill holes above. They're trying to secure a sledge underneath so he can nade things. And when he's done nading, he'll start lurking for you, okay? Yeah. So you can understand that when they start rotating away, once sledge is naded, the only thing that's left is maybe some flank drones and sledge. So that'd be the perfect time to go and kill him. Other than that, boys, you're doing it really well. I know it's boring. I know it's a pain in the ass. But you have to keep it slow, okay? Yep. You can get aggressive in the first 60 or so seconds, as we know. Get that man advantage and fuck off. But, boys, they double drone everything. They're massive pussies. They're waiting for you guys to push, okay? Yep. These guys are actually... Let's go!
Let's go, boys.
What, do you guys want to go back there?
We just take a bump. We work, you fish outside there, we'll get the armory wall. We just push and pinch from above. Because they give us CC. Yeah, they do.
All right. I remember an old mentality of Lycans was you want to coach teams and players to figure things out themselves. Maybe that's partly why he's been pretty quiet there in the last 10 seconds. He's saying to the boys, look, you know you've got the skills to figure this out. Tell us what's wrong. What have you got to improve? I love Meepy's directness as well. As we
heard from Meepy there, obviously a bit of the focus is going to be on maybe taking the opportunity to isolate players, you know, after their sort of work is done. He's recognised or feels that he's recognised the style in which the sledge is being used particularly. Something for you to keep an eye on at home. Watch that as this one plays out. You know, what is Rampy doing? Is he in there on his own? Is he just going for those vertical nades and then doing as he pleases underneath? You know, that's something that you can watch out for, and then how Koi deal with it.
And also how fast or how slow they look to play, because as Meepy said, 60 seconds, play nice and fast. After that, play really boring, just keep it slow. And several other words that I won't repeat for sake of not getting in trouble, Tim.
Don't want to be getting in trouble, Des.
I'm a love for trouble, but not that kind of trouble.
Armory and Archives is going to be our round 11 site. We're guaranteed of seeing at least all 12 for regulation between Koi and SSG. Just as a reminder, top right of your screen you can see as well. This is Koi's map pick, and really they need to be keeping hold of this. We're going to Bank next, which is SSG's choice, and then we will have a Clubhouse decider. So we've got 3 pretty default maps, really, you know, that teams are going to be expected to be capable on. It's 3 maps that both of these teams, as we said at the beginning, are pretty keen on playing. So it's no surprise to see this one going all the way. And if that continues throughout, it won't shock me for a second.
It sounds like really cliche because obviously 3 maps is a full series, but I wouldn't feel satisfied if this series ended on Bank. It would feel incomplete. I feel like Clubhouse is really where it's got to end as like the classic go-to, you know, showdown map between these 2 teams. Bank, of course, is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it as well. But it does need all 3. Yeti with a great answer onto Kanto is trying to get cheeky. Again, looking back to this comparison, this war over CC that we've seen throughout this entire game, look at the difference. Already CC has been dealt with by SSG really rapid here inside the first 75 seconds. Ryan's still there though.
Taking down the drones, just at least removing information. Still 6 left alive for SSG, so they still shouldn't really be starved of it. They should know where Cryan is in that position, and it's just a case of going in and making sure that they deal with him. Bosco's going to collect one that's just got caught up in a mute jammer, so that tells us that maybe they don't know exactly where Cryan is playing or if he's still there, so it's going to need a little bit of a face check. A bit of utility just comes across there that might have just given away. The Nitro goes out, not going to find its mark quite. Bosco does take a little bit of damage, but this is a smart move from Bosco. Going to get the Selma charging, and as we can see, that forces Cryan away.
So just keep on like firing a couple of shots out to keep him engaged and stop him getting that Selma off the wall. As it opens up though, has no choice but to back away. Spoit is once again the undealt with around Officer. Clock this probably about 45 seconds ago. He hasn't been challenged on this side of the map yet. If SSG rotate over here later on to start their push, he's really going to sting them. So for me, they've got to make this work on the west side of the map, given that's where they've established some control. Yeti finding Leon as he's just found out Rampy a few seconds prior.
SSG just maintaining their man advantage there with that quick trade, and they can play the rest of the round out like that essentially, just pushing in pairs and make sure that they're there for the trade. Spoit manages to get hot and Bosco finds Cryan, and it continues. They keep that advantage. Bosco's getting the diffuser down now. It's time for Koi to start pushing. They will do. Deepak finds one. That's Yeti taken down. Bosco's low health as well. 2v2. This is still doable for Koi. It's not lost yet.
I mean, you've got Spoit and Deepak, 2 clutch gods on this team as well. Who better else would you want? But they've got to find what feels to be a 2v1 into another 2v1 straight after. Shotgun at the ready, baits him out. Oh, it was great! Gets the down, not quite finished off though. And now Spoit's got to do it against one more. Gets the finish down, looks for the fight! And finds him on the spray through. Someone's got to stop this kid.
I am stunned at that finish from Spoit. Absolutely unreal. Not only was he pinged out as being outside, but absolutely managed to slay the man inside of Armory.
And you heard Leon then, he said, you are that guy. He is that guy. He's on fire this map. Truthfully feel without him that Koi would probably be a little bit lost, but to give some, you know, praise over to SSG as well. They didn't make the mistake like before where they got control of CC and moved over towards Office. It's dirty. They stayed fully focused on the west side of the map. They got CC control, they kept west, went in through and looked for a plant. Just could not win out that 4 versus 2 against, again, 2 of the players that you'd love to have in a clutch. If you had to choose any 2 players, it'd probably be Deepak and Spoit. Wonderful play, and Koi move up to 6 and 5.
Brilliant from him. A little bit of fortune, as you always need in those situations from Koi. The fact that Deepak was taken down, but managed to get the down with the shotgun as he went. That was a real key moment. I think in the 1v2 it becomes maybe a bit too much to ask of Spite, but job done, and Koi now have themselves a map point opportunity. If they get this one locked down, they will take their own map choice of border 7-5 and move on. If SSG are able to get the win in Bathroom and Towers, then we will have a little bit more of this.
Whew. Okay, Valkyrie on side, IQ picked in. Like bread and butter, go so well together. We'll see whether or not they find out those black eyes or whether or not Koi can keep the backstabs coming through, as this looks to be another spread across the map making use of those castle barricades. We saw Leon using this operator earlier on to hold down at least some of Workshop. Looks to be a similar kind of story here. He had this same castle barricade earlier as well, just prevents an easy access window from vents window, straight through the soft wall, all the way in towards the back of Bathroom. It's one of the really frustrating things about this map, and I feel one of the main complaints that pros have is that everything is openable. There's so many soft walls that you can see from one corner of the building to another with the right angle, and it makes it so hard for defenders to navigate and move through safely. Those castle barricades just make it that little bit more comfortable for the defenders to play and maneuver around the site.
Deepak inside of office, supported by Kanto at the minute. Just going to be doing the camera work. We're a minute into the round, and SSG are taking this one reasonably slowly, just sort of pushing up, not aggressing directly into the building yet. They're going to be looking to get themselves in the top floor at some point, I'd imagine. Fultz is the sort of lead of this attack at the minute. He's inside Customs, just having a look to see if he can pick anybody up directly inside a site, but unlikely as the majority of Koi are playing from above.
Taking it slow as well on the drone work. As you come to expect, about half the round elapsed here to slowly crawling their way forwards. And remember Meepy's words of wisdom. You know, take it slow that first 60 seconds. If you want to play a bit more aggressive, go for it. After that, we've got to play really slow and boring. Trying to adapt to the playstyle coming out of SSG. Rather than getting panicked and trying to look for frags that are saying, okay, no problem. I say that as Leon has stepped a little bit too far off his mark here. Tried to work his way back inside a workshop after the whole thing had already been droned out, and pays the price. This is why Meepy was saying, you've got to play back, you've got to play boring. They will catch you out.
Unfortunate for Leon there. Very nearly won that fight against Fultz. Now we're going to have the verticality come in. Crying manages to find Yeti. And as I keep saying, Koi able to level up that man count once again. Not scared of going behind in the numbers. 50 seconds left to go, and SSG don't really have any control, or certainly not enough to think about putting the diffuser down just yet. I wouldn't have thought. They've still got a number of Koi players up above, holding vertical angles, and they need to get shifting, because without doing that, down to 30 seconds, it's going to be difficult to make a plant happen.
So at this vertical control as well. Now Bosco's managed to get his way in and is getting a plant down here. No one able to respond as he's tucked himself in real tight here against the chassis, and no one has any idea. Got away with it. Crying's got one at least back onto the other side, but now it's a 3 versus 4 post plant for SSG.
Big mistake from Koi there. They really didn't know. They were confident in being able to hold that down vertically, and I assumed that obviously they had the access points covered, but no, Bosco able to walk in there and get that diffuser down. Now then, that could have been a big find. Houghton just managing to escape there. He's taken a little bit of damage. There comes a big challenge from Kanto. They needed that.
Oh, good
huge
pass.
kill from Kanto, leaving us now in a situation where Koi have done it.
What? Surely they still get the diffuse off. They do. Spoit's on it. He's got enough time. It's okay. But that very nearly went completely sideways. It was a real scrappy map. A very thrilling fixture between these two. But at the very least, Koi take the first map.
I tell you what, it's all laughter and smiles now. If there'd only been 2 of them left alive,
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
I tell you what, always stick a claymore on your diffuser if you get the chance.
If you've got the time, why not? It was almost an absolute disaster, but a 7-5 win on the first map means that Bank awaits us. I can't wait to get into it. Back with you in just a few minutes.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
versus SSG. We were ready, the cameraman was not, but the teams are just about ready to get into the second map of this best of 3. Tim, Bank, the next map that awaits us. And as we said before, all 3 maps in this series are maps that these teams are very comfortable on, all 3 in their top 5 preferences, so expecting a pretty good series. Bank, a little bit messy at points, Tim, but very exciting.
Yeah, we had some big moments. We just seen one of them there, probably, you know, one of the, I won't say key moments of the game, because ultimately Koi were able to get the win. But Rampy's 1v3 will definitely be one of the highlights. Spite deserving a mention as well for this clutch particularly, but his performance throughout, he was very, very solid. You can see 14 kills on the screen there. I'm not sure exactly if he finished on 14, might have been a few more. But yeah, fantastic play. And then a rather unusual situation at the end. Where we see
Leon's face.
Where we see
even Deepak and Leon's face.
We have a double Claymore kill.
Someone please get that and put it on Twitter. That is amazing.
I think it was it Crying and Kanto that ran into it? I don't know if it was Crying and Kanto. If it was,
I know that Spoit was the last one left standing.
It was definitely Kanto and one other.
Oh, that is class.
That went running into it. But yeah, not a situation we see every day. And they were just very lucky that one of them was still alive.
Blimey,
Imagine if all 3 of them had run for the disable of the diffuser. And all 3 of them had got it with it.
It's just one of those. It's one of those that you'd be absolutely kicking yourself if it works against you, but in the moment, whoo! I mean, I really kind of wish they'd lost it, to be honest, and sent us to overtime.
It's one of them things to see, isn't it?
It's for the story.
It would have been a spectacle.
All right, well, we get to focus on Bank. And I mentioned earlier on, we've seen this map quite a number of times, actually, for both of these teams. I know that for Koi, it was one of their go-to maps last year. I'm going to get my little stat sheet up here and take a look at what the most recent games have been as well. So, looking across for Koi in particular, they've won 3 of their last 4 games on this map. Admittedly against some of the weaker teams that we have in Europe, so there is that. SSG are on a 4-game win streak on this map, a lot of that being played across the Yonchping Major and the NA closed qualifiers for SI. So both on a pretty good run of form on the map at the moment. Only one can walk away the winner. We're about to find out now as we are loading into map number 2.
It is going to be number 2. It's going to be Bank, and it is SSG's choice. So there is every chance that you might just get the maximum amount of entertainment out of this one that we can, which would be going all the way to the 3rd map of Clubhouse. We're going to have Dokabit and Nock taken away as our attacker bands of choice, followed by Echo as the first SSG choice.
I wonder why SSG have banned that against Koi.
I can't imagine. It is such a surprise to me.
Both of these target bans coming in. I mentioned earlier on at the start of Border when we saw the Nook ban coming in there that we are not going to see Nook enabled for Crying. He's a demon on that operator. The Echo, for those who haven't watched Koi before, who didn't see them win the Berlin Major, that's because Deepak is an absolute beast playing on Echo. Really good at using it for aggressive purposes, so getting those drones outside the map temporarily, feeding information to the team on exactly where pushes are coming from, or enabling things like jump outs. Also really good at using it around square to enable Spoit. We've seen some beautiful team play from those 2 players coming around square with the Yokai drones and Spoit, well, doing what Spoit does best, using a gun and pointing it towards the enemy. SSG are going to start on the attack, and Koi on the defense are now starting downstairs to see how things go.
I think Bank is becoming one of my favourite maps to cast and play. I really enjoy Bank.
How come?
I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. I think you've got a couple of different styles of play possible. You know, you've got plenty of room to move around. I'm just finding myself enjoying it more and more. Still not quite up at chalet levels yet.
It's got a bit of work to do to get there.
Yeah, got a little bit of work to do to get chalet, but I do just enjoy the games that we have on Bank. So let's see if this one is as enjoyable as we hope. We've got Spite up on the top floor. Look at this, he's going for it already. Absolutely no messing about from Koi, wanting to get aggressive, get in the face of SSG. You know, as we heard Meepy suggesting that tactical timeout in the last game, you know, that it's okay in the first 60 seconds or so, get aggressive, see if you can get that pick, and then just fall back and force them to play.
Exactly that. And I think when the map's this big, the same as you kind of saw on Border, you want to be playing around as much as the map as you can. Admittedly, SSG were far better at that on the defensive side, I thought, than what Koi were. But Koi feel a little more cozy here already from the way things are starting to shape up. Quite spread out across the map, got themselves in multiple places, ready to greet SSG on the entry into the building. And SSG for now at least looking to play things pretty staple as well, up on those windows, looking to get in the top floor, clear your way down before you start executing inside the basement. The big challenge is going to be time though, Tim. We've already caught a couple of times in this map that or in this series, sorry, that SSG haven't been the best with the clock.
No, sometimes just running a little bit late, you know, very keen to get that diffuser down, you know, not always looking at the alternative ways of getting the rounds won. Kanto is going to finish Fultz off there, taking the last of his health that was remaining. Drops down, can he get himself a second? Kanto had a very nice double towards the end of the last round, and he's certainly picking up where he left off here on Bank.
I was going to say the timing there of him to turn away and then get killed by the drop would have been ridiculous. But so far we've had the members of SSG, the two of them, walk into crossfires set up by different members of Koi, and they've then moved and dropped away. It's like boxing shadows. It's simply not going to work. Good stuff from Koi to control the map so far. SSG now starting to look at getting inside of the basement, but in a 3v5, it's feeling a little bit ropey, Tim.
Well, this is exactly what Meepy spoke about. You know, get up in their faces, first minute or so, get yourself a kill or two, and then Koi, they've just dropped themselves back to site and they leave SSG with 3 members trying to get some sort of execute built, because they're not going to win this any other way. You know, they're going to almost certainly have to put that diffuser down. Look, you've got the Valkyrie all the way back in gold bars there, just sitting on the cams, feeding the information. I love this from Koi.
It's a good start, absolutely a really good start, much better and more composed than what we saw before. SSG trying to see how exactly they can pin together an attack. They've got a lot of drones still left on the field. In fact, it's rare to see all 3 players this late into the round to have all of their drones still available and out on the field. No doubt some of them sat out on the flank, watching for potential flank players coming out of Koi, but otherwise it is information on the site they have at their disposal to make this work. 2 flashes coming out, a drop into sight from Bosco, and he's going straight in from a plant, ignoring the word go and just passing straight in towards sight. Do they know this plant's going down? I don't think they knew, Tim. I think Koi had no idea this was going down, but now they do. It's a flawless first round. Koi in full control.
I think whether they knew about it or not, it didn't really matter too much. If Bosco does get that plant down, he can do whatever he wants, really. He's unlikely to cover it for the rest of the thing. He's 1v5. Even if he gets up, gets on a hatch, he's not going to hold on to that.
Yep. Really good start, though. And again, for SSG, probably a little bit work to do in the earlier round. And this is, I think, also something we heard them comment on before, is the players are playing a little bit individual. They're going for those small 1v1 gunfights. We saw it there, where there was a bit of crouch walking in through open, for example. The player coming in through copy was very much alone. Clearly the intent was for the two of them to sync up, but it just sort of fell apart from there. So almost kind of feedback that we heard from a couple of teams yesterday to be willing to change the plan when it isn't working out. Maybe it's a good idea to regroup here, push forward more as a team when things don't work out in that spot. But it was only the first round. We now go up onto the ground floor for open area and staff room.
Koi, you're going to be feeling confident, I think, after that first round. And the thing is, the bit that worked really well for them was the couple of kills that came in and around the map. Kanto up on top floor and then Crying on mid floor. And they can just do more of the same here. So SSG have got to find an answer to that, because we're going to have a top floor presence once again from Koi. They're going to be looking for the same sort of engagements in the first 60 seconds. And if they come out in the same direction, SSG could find themselves falling behind here. And at 1 map down on their own map choice, that's really the last place they want to be.
It absolutely is. Although I do think it could be really interesting to see how the second half goes. We saw, you know, all these problems for Koi in the first half of border. We then changed sides and saw SSG, you know, having similar issues as well for the most part, evidently by the ending map results. So 30 seconds in, SSG getting themselves shaped up here for what looks to be a good start. 2 off on the rappel, 1 out towards ATMs. So largely a grouping up towards the north and the northwest. You've got 1 trying to push in through square as well. In fact, make it 3 coming in through here. Who did I see over towards ATMs then? I'm so lost. Can we go left a little bit more? Did I see anyone at ATMs? Yeah, I did. There we go. Okay, it was Yeti, sorry. So it was 2 coming in, 3 coming in over the top to push their way through. And then, in fact, I know exactly what's happened. 1 on ATMs, 2 coming in on the north windows. I saw 3 going in through square, but 1 was the Yana clone.
It's it again.
Baiting the casters, not just the players in game. Wonderful.
Fultz just trying to work that, again, rooftop angle, but Crying is going to be one to pick up the opening kill onto Houghton. And it's going to be a trade as Bosco manages to get one onto Spite as well, 4v4 then, but Crying's still active up on the top floor. There is information on him, the yellow ping's coming out, he's going to drop himself away, probably the right answer. Kanto playing underneath, does have Nitro in hand, as does Crying. So a lot of explosives when you add in the impact nades as well, and it's something that SSG need to be aware of. They can't just play for free, as it were, up on the top floor.
Absolutely not. 4v4 though, and I think you'll be very happy with Koi. The more you're bringing those numbers down, the more utility you're taking off the board, more big guns are being taken away. Bosco, the main one here on the upstairs, will be doing some work though. No need for a sledge when you have the book on side instead. Of course, if you wanted those frag grenades, then normally it would be great, but here preferring the range safety offered by the skeleton key along with the hard breach gadgets, just to get through any would-be hatches that need to be opened up if the ace were to go down.
Still 4 versus 4, 1 minute left to go, and Koi basically continuing with their plan of play slowly, frustrate SSG, force them into those last second executes, and we're going to have the Nitro going off there from Kanto. Not going to be successful, and he's going to take the opportunity to dip away and get himself back in towards site. Times it perfectly as the pressure does start coming in from main lobby. 40 seconds left to go, and Kanto's got an opportunity for the vertical fight, but can't find the kill. He's going to be taken down in numbers, but 30 seconds left to go, and SSG still need to get inside.
It's again one of those where it feels scrappy up until the last second, but nothing's really come off the back of that. They've got their kill, and they've now got to get themselves still to try and push down on these last 2 members. They knew about the player on Marble, the drone confirms it, and now Bosco's got himself an angle held out. But they've got to push inside a site for 1. They've got to have 1 player commit to getting the diffuser down, and they've got 10 seconds. There is so much room for things to go wrong, Tim.
There really is. Cryan's going to pop up on the flank at any point here. Bosco getting the diffuser down, 2 kills inside a site, and surely this is it. Yeti is holding. They're going to start gunning down.
Brilliant.
There you go, Maestro Cam with the denial.
I don't need echo. I don't need echo.
I don't need echo. I don't need echo.
Running away. Where you going, pussy?
What's he holding? What's he holding?
Scared of an evil eye. The guy said, hey, later, mate.
Nice.
Defect's normally so quiet and calm.
Well, that's what we see. You see, now we're getting the in-game comms.
Now we're getting the real in-game comms. I love it. And already, Tim, tactical timeout coming in from SSG after just 2 rounds.
The thing is that
planted in less than 10. Like these guys, their whole game plan is they want us to get in the building, and we're taking too long. All right, we just need to make sure. Like, let's get some a little bit extra forward, moving forward. If you find like a way to get in, like they were nowhere to go, and like CEO and stuff like that from the basement. Like, let's take that initiative. Let's get in there. Like, there are spots that are free. We need to be taking care of it and going faster.
Do you think we just get me and Fulton, just double drone me and Fulton, we just start taking map control?
I think we could definitely do that. I think we could.
I'm playing globals. Well, let's work in Nest 2 take.
Okay, well, yeah, next time they're bottom, we'll do that.
Honestly, bro, you could probably intro with a line too. Okay. Just help say. Actually, no, I can't. Just have no time. Somebody else. What? Somebody else needs to do it.
Yeah, I can't help but feel a little bit. I feel bad saying this because Lycan's like one of my favourite people in the scene. I love him to bits, but that felt like very empty advice. You know, we've got to go faster. We've got to like stop being slow. We've got to go faster. But we've got to be careful because they want us to get in faster. So it's kind of contradicting advice coming out to some level there, and I like that we had Rampy step up and go, hey, should we just double drone us in and make this happen? That's the kind of like,
yeah.
That's it. It's a specific action, something we can materially change rather than giving some kind of like, you know, sage wisdom that doesn't really tell you what to do. Like, the boys need a bit of guidance there. I do agree, you know, they are being really slow. They're crouch walking in. They're keeping it real nice and slow. Koi getting crossfires, picking them off 1 by 1. I do agree there's got to be more explosiveness in there, but you are playing into Koi's game there if you do try and play that playstyle. So just a little, you know, maybe trying to play off that drone play like they were saying is the go-to here, and I'm curious to see if it works out, but I don't know, Koi is very happy to keep on picking at you whenever you trip, and here we go. 1, 2, no! Doesn't get the second. Whiffs the shots a little bit there. Leon and Bosco collecting himself a kill with that Claymore, but losing half HP for the privilege.
It's not the end of the world for Koi.
Well, it is, because I mean, the game plan for SSG was Rampy to get droned in. That can't happen.
That's what I mean, exactly that. You know, you've just come out of a tactical timeout. Right, shall I get droned in with Fulch? Yeah, absolutely, let's do that. Right, I'm dead 10 seconds in. It's accidental almost from Koi. They were going for the jump out. You know, they don't know what the game plan is coming from SSG, but it just works out perfectly for them. We're going to have the stock shield just taken out of position. That's going to be the Rotero drone clearing that one down. Spike's not going anywhere immediately. He's still looking to continue his fight there for the time being until he is absolutely forced away.
I think it was a really good read from Koi as well strategically here. The read that, you know, SSG have taken the tactical timeout. Clearly they've got a plan in mind. How can we upset a plan? We jump out, we kill a couple of players, we upset whatever they've agreed are going to be the next steps they're coming into. I just think it was actually quite smart from Koi there to make such a risky call that ultimately has paid dividends there, because as you said, the man who was making the call, hey, we should drone us in and make this work, one of those two is now gone. Fult's going to be the main boy to drone in, but He is playing on the Flores, which means he's got to get through those Roteros first. Ergo, we're having another very slow round from SSG. Exactly what Koi wanted and exactly what SSG did not want.
Yes, he's on a big flank here, and I'm not sure that Koi are aware of this. He could have an absolute field day depending how the movement in sight goes. They're going to have to be very careful, but yeah, absolutely no idea that they've got somebody on the rear side. Spite is fighting with the man inside of stock, shut down by Fultz, and that might give an opportunity for Yeti to start moving in. It's exactly what happens. This is good from SSG as Bosco finds Deepek, and now Kanto, he's the one, manages to shut down Yeti, reclaim that side of the site at least, and we're in a 2v3, 55 seconds, but SSG, they've got the time that they need.
Problem is they've only really got Kanto on site. I was going to say Crying downstairs hasn't got a massive impact with no C4 in back pocket, but he's moved his way up, leaving Kanto in a 1 versus 2. Does he have a read on where these players are? Yes, he does, but has given himself away in the process. Plant going down here with about 40 seconds still to play. Looking good for SSG.
It certainly is. Kanto's going to move forward, see if he can stop this plant going down. He might not know that it's actually happening at the minute. He's just going to pepper across the heads, but with low health and the UMP, he might not be in an ideal position at such long range to make this happen. Bosco, hot and cold, might have just got away with a little bit of a robbery here and got in, got out, and got the job done. They're going to hold their position out of the window. Hot and cold, job done. Manages to survive the few bullets that Kanto can land, and having that power position on the rappel is likely to be the end of this. Bosco, he manages to close out the final kill, and SSG after that tactical timeout, whilst it might not have been exactly what they described, still get the first round won.
I think that might be our play.
Start freaking the F out, that might be the play, according to Yeti. No, but even with it being such a good start, it's really unfortunate Leon couldn't complete that second there. The animation of the rappel, I think, threw him off a little bit as to where the head position was. And to some level, I thought Kanto might be able to pull that out, that 1v2, given no one was outside. They couldn't get back on the rappel because they were worried about the cross coming in from Kanto. Made the play, got outside, and as you say, job done. Round was basically over from there. Really good from SSG, having a bit of decisiveness in the last 60 seconds and catching Koi off guard.
Going to be going back down to the basement this time around. Lockers and CCTV, it was the site that we saw them win back in round 1. They've been through a full cycle. It's been down in the basement, it's been open and staff. The thing is, Koi probably don't really mind too much there. You know, it was the third choice site up on top floor. It may be one that they know that they're only going to win maybe 50% of the time. So if they're confident in getting these two locked out, they get basement again, they get open and staff again, they can have another roll of the dice top floor. Maybe they win it that time and they're still on a 5-1. You know, they're probably not too rattled at this point.
I wouldn't imagine so. If that frost mat catches someone, I'm buying Leon a beer later. Straight under the hatch.
Also got all the entries so far of Koi. I love that.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not actually the baddest. It's the baddest. It's not actually the worst idea.
Not the baddest idea.
When a hatch gets opened, obviously a load of debris drops and does partially cover the frost mats.
You'd hope, though, given how diligent SSG have been with their drone work, they would find out about those before they just go charging down. And there it is, yet again. I mean, yes, he's got in nice and rapid there. I like the pace at which he's moving, but here we go. Look, kills back and forth. Spoit losing out to Hot and Cold. A little bit of chip damage onto the Ying. If he'd found that Ying for me, round over. Candela's gone. Hard Breach gone. You've only got the exothermics on side. You can get 2 of the 5 hatches. It would have been lights out for SSG.
Crying and Kanto have got a bit of a decision to make now. They're the players that have been up on the top floor. Decision has been made. They're both back to site. It's very quick, though, was my point. They managed to get that opening kill, but it was at about 40 seconds into the round that SSG was starting to swarm in, and I wondered, you had Kanto at the top of blue, you had Crying on marble stairs, and I just thought, are they going to stick around? Are they going to overstay their welcome, or do they drop back and just try to turtle up? And it is the secondary choice there, but that does sort of play into SSG. You know, they said in that tactical timeout, we want to get in there quicker, we want to take space, we want to make sure that we get in map control so that we've got time to be able to execute, to be able to push forward further onto site. And right now, they've got an absolute age in front of them.
They have 90 seconds to play, a stack of utility still in their back pockets, grenades galore that they can send charging on in, and they've got the vertical control as well. So all is lining up well for what they need. They are going to have to play through a couple of C4s, mind you. There are, of course, no smoke canisters to come out. So I like how this is setting up for SSG. Knowing they've got this much time to go, they should be able to make this work. In come the Candelas.
Just time to try and execute. You know, they've got to make sure that they're in sync when this utility's coming in. They don't want to be throwing Candelas and doing nothing on the back of it. They're going to have the nades going out. Bosco will start the first attempt at the plant. He may well be pushed off by utility. C4 comes out. He will be pushed off completely. Usually you would have somebody dip away when they hear that C4 rip, but Bosco had been so far into the plant that he decided to try and stick it. 3 versus 3. 1 Nitro left in hand.
That's the problem, right? It's that Nitro that's still in back pocket, and I think if Hot and Cold dies here, there's no one else around to step up and make... Okay, I lied. Iana's right behind him. I thought she was still upstairs. Another C4 comes out. Should be another kill. Doesn't even catch the planter. It catches Fultz instead. Hot and Cold's going to try again, getting his booty just back in through the breach, holding down F, and Rampy has got a hero's job to do here to stop this. One runs in front. He can't quite hold it out. Koi close out comfortably. You know what was missing? Smokes. They had so much on their side there. They had the nades, they had the flashes, they had 4 members, had the vertical control, had the Candelas, but without the smokes, did not have safe passage for the planter.
Part of the problem here is watch Fultz. Watch Fultz. Watch Fultz. It's a small mistake, but it's a mistake nonetheless. The Nitro is coming out. SSG know that because the planter steps up and starts to run away. They were trying to bait that C4. That was the whole play. So for Fultz to push up at that point, there may have been a reason for it. Maybe he was, you know, changing his angle. Maybe he saw an opportunity for a kill. But for him to push forward at that point, he was just sending himself into the danger zone.
Small things sometimes, Tim. Small things can have a big impact, as you just saw there. 1 death really meaning they had nothing left when it came round to the cover. Relying solely on Rampy up on the hatch, and you can't do it all against 3 players of Koi, who are jumping all over you like a rash. Let's go for round 5 then. Koi up 3-1 and very comfortable here on Bank, Tim. It feels like a bit of a different story to what we saw back on Border.
It does. I'll add a sort of an asterisk onto that to say, you know, I think we will see a better second half out of SSG.
I agree.
Once you get them on the defense, but the problem for them is, you know, when you're thinking a wider scale of the tournament, if you've got a problem attacking, which, you know, it does seem that SSG do at the minute, particularly with regards to pace, which is actually a shame, Des, because that last round was really quick to begin with. They got themselves in, they got map control just as they said they wanted to.
Yes, he got shagged by Crying.
And then it was the end of things that they just couldn't get it done. But yeah, SSG just struggling on the side. It's something that they definitely need to work on for longevity in the tournament.
I love how they got 6 Claymores on side, by the way. 6 Claymores!
Thanks, Leon.
Not even just leaning into things like the zero cams either, but actually making sure there is an active explosive deterrent towards the attackers trying to get too aggressive. I like it in the sense of if you take fast map control and then get Claymores down behind you, it's going to work out. But you do have to be mindful of things then like impacts that can clear those out and then let the defenders come charging through and play on the flank. Here it feels a lot like Spoit's trying to do that, who, by the way, is 0 and 3 on this map. It's classic duality of the entry fraggers there. 14 and 6 on the last map, 0 and 3 here so far, but his team is still in the lead, and that is all that counts.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. And the thing is, you might
the drone rolls, Tim.
You might hit his out the drone rolls. You might well put Spoit on attack and, you know, see a different, a different beast coming forward then, and he may well start picking those kills up when he's got the drones in front of him and he's going in with information. It may well just be a defensive thing. For the time being, the Thatcher is going to clear out the electroclaws. They're going to be reapplied. We'll see.
Where are the Bosco? Hello? Bosco? What is that timing? What?
I'm concerned by that, Des.
I am perplexed, Tim. I am mind-boggled. I am many things. I am quite confident that SSG are going to lose this round. Here comes Yeti in a 1 versus 2, has at least equalised things to some degree, but has got to try and find these last 2. And you know what Spoit and Kanto are going to be like, the 2 entries coming in for this team. They're going to dip away and try and keep themselves busy. Yeti does indeed have the diffuser and may have a possibility to get it down here unnoticed by the side of Koi. Do they respond? There should be one up towards the right-hand side. Yep. Looks like they do indeed know. One inside of admin, one out by bleepers. So they know what it is that Yeti is looking to do and should be able to get this one shut out unless he can isolate 2 separate 1v1s.
Yeah, there's no way that they peak this, or there's no way that they should. They're going to force him into a plant. They can just keep burning time. Yeti might actually stick this, and it's a good play if he does, but they know it's nice. They know exactly where he is. They're going to come around the corner and likely get the kill. They're on the side. There you go. There was an opportunity for... I know I sort of sounded a bit underwhelmed there. There was an opportunity for Yeti, but I'd already seen Kanto's movement coming on the rotation behind him. Without a serious mistake there, there's no way that Koi lose that, because they are 180 degrees on opposite sides of Yeti. So as you know, as good as Yeti is, there's no way that he generally picks up both of those kills. It's going to be tough. You know, it was a good round from Koi. They were on top of it, but there was big mistakes from SSG. I don't know what happened with that Thatcher. I don't know what happened with that.
That's a classic mistiming, I think, where maybe Bosco had said he was looking to move it to get the wall open, and then tossed in the EMP thinking he was ready.
It was when he threw the Selma, but you could see the electricity on the wall.
That's it.
And he still threw it in there. I was like, no.
The thing is, you know, SSG aren't normally the ones that are responsible for messing up timing. Well, they are responsible when they do it, but they're not ones known for constantly messing up timing. You'll allow the one mistake. It's just unfortunate that it's come at a time when you're down 3-1, and you really need to get around going in your favor. You know, Koi it feels largely that they're being unchallenged so far. They've been very, very comfortable on the map. They haven't had to do too much movement. Sure, there's been the occasional bit of movement on the top floor from players like Spoit, the jump out coming out of Leon. Otherwise, it's trying to get aggressive. Holding Marble Stairs is trying and getting the entry onto Yeti. They just feel largely unbothered or unsurprised by what SSG are bringing to the table.
Last defensive round for Koi. It's going to be up on the top floor. It's the one that SSG won last time. They won it pretty well, actually. Yeti managed to get himself up main stairs. Nice flank. They had a plant by the end of things. It was a much better round for them, so they're going to be hoping that they can get the same done again and bring themselves to 4-2. To be honest, I look at the last map, Des, and I think, you know, Koi were in this position. They managed to snatch a 4-2. They were lucky to do it, and they managed to come back and win the map. So there's no reason SSG can't do this.
Exactly that. I'm always the first person that normally jumps when we're casting EUL to say, look, a team might be up 5-0 or 5-1 or whatever. Wait until the second half. We've seen crazier things. We've seen full map swings back the other way. I want to say it was Sandbox coming up against, maybe it was Team 1 for the map 8-6. It happens. You know, you can't just count on one side and go, that's 100% reflective of what's going to happen on the other, unless literally 0 gunfights are being won. But at least SSG are finding the odd gunfight going their way. They have had some sparks of brilliance. It isn't all over by any means. Hot and Cold burning his way through and quite literally burning his own retinas out there with the flashbands coming in as they're trying to unsettle who I imagine it's going to be Spoits. Yes, it is. Holding behind the shield. 0-4 so far, by the way.
I'm interested to know if there's any utility on the sort of main stairs from main lobby that Yeti was able to just walk up for free last time. There's no prox alarms being brought along. There is a bulletproof camera, but that's going to be about all, but I'm not sure exactly where that's positioned. I didn't see it get placed. So there's the potential there for somebody to just walk up those stairs again. Kanto is playing in that position, but he didn't hear that happening last time, and it may well be that it can be exploited. It doesn't look like SSG are going to be trying for that for the time being. We've got at least 3 players out in front of us trying to work around square at the minute, and we've got Rampy on the rappel as well.
Just sit and wait. Just sit and wait, boys. As Meepy said, they are a certain word that begins with P. They're going to play this nice and slow. You don't need to stress out too much. That's what Koi are waiting for, but there's a push coming up towards Janitor as well here that might result in a kill for SSG, as Leon's going to burn out to the fire. That's a bit of a slip-up.
That's pretty big, but again, the timing is a little bit off for SSG here. They were supposed to go in under that cover of smoke to get the diffuser down. Bosco has now died in the middle of sight, and that is the case down cold. They're going to have to go in. They're going to have to get it back. Rampy is able to do that. He's going to start going nice and easy. Bulletproof cam. Deepak's going to be able to take down Rampy. That drops the diffuser down again. 30 seconds left to go. Fultz recovers, but they're going to have to get it down.
Hot and Cold finds at least one more to keep the things on SSG side. 3 versus 2, but those last 20 seconds could be also horrible. Cryan, who's at 10-3, finds himself put down to a slither of HP. 1 more rounds, but he gets the shots that he needs. 1 finished off, still 2 more standing, and this is where SSG might have to force themselves here into a temporary 1 versus 2. Fultz pulls off, Deepak finds 1, Cryan into yet another on 1 HP, and makes it an almost perfect half for Koi, 5-1.
You guys are too good for me.
What a great round. They're right to be excited.
Remember what I said on this half? We play together, we play stupid, okay? I don't care how we do it together.
That is quite summarised.
The energy's completely different to the first half of Border. You know, like you said,
they were so flat.
They're very quiet, so flat, and now they're picking it up. And it just goes to show in the performance, because that was a nice defence. It wasn't perfect. There were opportunities for SSG again. Again, I'd question the timing. I'd have to watch it back. I don't want to be overly critical, but the smokes go in. The Selma charge goes off on the wall. And everything's dissipated by the time Bosco's going in to get the diffuser down, so he just gets shot in the middle of sight. So then they're in this constant loop of Rampy has to go in and get the diffuser, gets shot in the middle of sight. Fultz has to go in and get the diffuser, doesn't that time get shot, but ultimately the position just keeps changing. And Koi, they had to battle. It wasn't straightforward. SSG did well and got a couple of good kills, but Koi were able to respond.
I just love the Leon statement. Play stupid, pick Blackbeard, pick us, and that's totally fine. We can do whatever we want. But again, this is where this team have always done well, I've observed, is when their energy is high, that's when they're at their best, when they're talking to each other, when they're gassed up to go and find those kills and get those gunfights. That's when they look at their best. I know I keep on pointing it out, by the way. I'm not at all trying to like drab on him here because he plays fantastic all the time. The fact that Spoit is 0-5 and his team are 5-1 just shows how much others have stepped up around him as well. He's gone quiet, Cryan's going massive at 12-4. Kanto's had some great rounds as well. On the other side for SSG, no one's pushed past 5 kills yet.
That's the combo. That's the big combo for Koi is Cryan and Spoit. You know, as long as one of them is stepping up,
Cryan's big brother.
You're pretty much all right.
I call him Daddy. What?
Cryan is. He seems to get bigger every event we come to.
He does.
I saw the photographs of him before this one started.
Some of the days like he's clearly on roids, and I was like, I don't know. The guy's pretty committed to his workout.
Oh, he's always, you know, he's.
I mean, that is the what a bait, what a bait. Oh, this is filth. This. Why? Ossa and Blackbeard stacked together.
Disgusting.
He said play stupid, but this is cheesy. I love it.
Just can't quite get down the side of that bulletproof camera there to take it out. Just needs to be careful. Spoit low health now. If they keep popping these body shots in, eventually it is going to do the job.
He didn't even get the shield. There's another one, but a smoke comes out and tickles Spoit. The tiniest little bit there. I think that bulletproof is still intact as well. But they've thrown a lot of their utility down ramp there to try and force these players away. Both shields are still standing, and the problem is, Tim, even if no one's playing behind them, it's the threat of the attackers retaking those positions, getting in behind the shields and using them against you that helps divide this site in half. You get a wonderful line of sight that goes straight up through one of the sites, right down through the corridor, through the double door, back down garage ramp, and it can be really oppressive as a defender to be able to successfully move between sites when that's in the way.
Hotton going to drop the hatch, get himself underneath.
Deepak on Iana. What a world.
Across. But SSG largely forced back to site at this point. So not terrible progress from Koi, but maybe just a little bit of time issues at the minute. They've got diffuser in hand inside of open area, but obviously it's not going to be immediately the position they want to be in to get that plant down.
Here we go. Ramp is holding tight. Once again, Caster was baited out by Gemini. The thing is, I play so much Iana, you think I'd be used to it, but I'm not. I'm just not. I'm lost.
Spoit is going to be creeping his way up here. I think he knows where Rampy is positioned. Bosco's going to take a lot of damage there, probably from a nade, I would imagine. And we're coming into the final 19 seconds. It's time for Koi to think about executing. Spoit just trying to get something going. There's a big couple of kills for SSG, though, making a third as Rampy steps up and finds Cryan. 7 seconds left to go, and I think we're seeing the difference that I suggested we might. SSG with a solid defense there, and looking a little bit more comfortable on bank in the second half than they did in the first.
8 strong together, Koi, but clearly not strong enough. SSG holding firm, holding resolute. It's the first round there in which they've looked, the most convincing on this map. Of course, they had the 1 win back in the first half, but it was a little bit ropey at points. Here, at least, things should start building up well. We'll see how the next round goes. I do like the idea from Koi in terms of the abuse is the only way I can describe it. The Blackbeard and the Ossa coming in together. Just so much bulletproof utility coming through there that makes it an absolute nightmare against anyone that can shoot. But you saw the main weakness of it. They had no real tools or utility to actually get themselves control of the site or the periphery to it, or the perimeter to it, sorry, at the same time. They had no smokes, no real flashes to come out. So that's a little bit high and dry there in the last 20 seconds, but you'll forgive them for that. Let's see how things change it going into this round. Spoit is back over onto the Iana.
The big difference here is Koi won one of their third choice sites. So now SSG are in a bit of a difficult position. They've not only got to win their primaries, they've got to pick up at least one tertiary site win. They're going up to the top floor. This was the third choice site for Koi. We'll see if SSG can hold on to this one.
Absolutely, looking at the utility coming out, that's a hell of a lot of impact. It's almost like they're expecting to see this coming through once again. Either that or they're looking to play a tricking game, which I don't think they are. No doubt, knowing Koi, there will be some window play here as well, making use of the smokes coming out of Kanto. The smoke bolt's very, very valuable, for example, blocking out Janitor entirely. And with Deepek on the Amaru, I can't help but feel we're in for a little bit of a cheeky surprise at some point, Tim.
See, I love a late Amaru player. I've said this plenty of times.
I don't expect a rush, no.
No, we quite often see him used to like go up the hatch, get the diffuser down, or zipping through a window at the beginning of the round. It's sometimes really effective in the last 15 seconds. You know, everybody's focused on where the execute's going down, and then Amaru just blasts through a window. And it can be, you know, it can be really, really effective at the end of the round. So, as you said, we'll keep an eye on Deepek. It's not unusual for Deepek to play Amaru, to be fair, and doesn't always utilise the Gara hook. It's not always the purpose, you know, of it. You've got the flashbang, he's got a good gun, and that's
several good guns.
So exactly that, plenty of choice. So sometimes it is more about that. Cryan, he's going to continue his reign of terror. Here we go, Gara hooks out. A kill onto Fultz, and it's time for Deepek.
In he comes as well, hopefully in behind the smokes as well. Gets rid of the black guy straight away, but gets sprayed through and taken down. Cryan's there for the trade, but someone's going to have to step into Deepek's grave here, pick up the diffuser, and get it stuck back down. It's 4v3 for Koi, and they might just say, boys, forget about the diffuser, let's just kill him.
It might be time to play that way. Yeti just trying to hold down with the TCSG from stock, but he's going to come face to face with Spike pretty soon, I think. Spike's going to look to push this angle at some point, I'd imagine. Like you said, diffuser down in sight, nobody's really posturing or positioning to go in and pick that up, so it is going to come down to gunfights. Leon manages to find Rampy. That's a big start for Koi. If they get this round here, Des, SSG are in serious trouble.
What can they do here to hold on against the onslaught of 4 players with 60 seconds still on the clock? One given away as well. Gemini being taken out is that information gathering tool essentially for the side of Koi. Yes, he's got a lot to try and do by himself as he maneuvers his way back in towards site, being mindful of the window, but it's main stairs being challenged out.
Santos actually just got himself into sight. He's going to collect the diffuser, but he will be taken down by Bosco in a big double. Leon manages to get in. It's all up to Bosco. It's 1v2, and there's a lot of time here, Des. We know that he can do it. He's got the ability. He's the Bosco. Is he going to be able to lock it down this time, though? He's already dropped the diffuser down once when Kanto came in. He's just now trying to create some sort of castle, some sort of fortress for himself.
Some bastion, architect of the site here.
He's got the diffuser.
He is on it. They've got to fight. They've got to kill him, realistically. They can't get the diffuser without killing him, so it will end in kills here. But timing is the thing, and Spoit, I know he's had a quiet bout, but he doesn't miss those.
Let's go, boys. Cryan as well. Unreal. Good refract on the one.
See, that's leadership.
That's what you want.
Gas your boys up, get them excited. I love it.
Exactly that. Deepak and Kanto were unfortunately unable to get the diffuser down, but Koi aren't going to mind that in the slightest. It was unlucky for Bosco. He got in there and he kept putting that diffuser on the ground, and then he tried to play it. He had it, you know, next to him, and if he could have just held on to his position for a little bit longer, maybe the round goes differently. But he was going up against one of the best gunners in EUL and probably in the world at the minute, so it was never going to be an easy fight for him. Koi put themselves onto map and series point. 6-2 and SSG, they are backs to the wall, Des. They've got a big problem here.
The really exciting one really is when you start thinking about the implications of this on the group, because boy, if they win this 2-0, they move to 9 points. The only team ahead of them is W7M on 11. And have a wonderful guess at who they play against tomorrow. Koi come up against W7M as the last game of this group. It is literally a fight for first place at that point. Whoever wins takes all the biscuits. They get to finish in first place. They get the bye in the upper bracket of the next round. It's an absolute dream. That is going to be a really good series as long as we get Bank Koi and not Border Koi.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of that. I like the idea of W7M being put under some pressure.
Yeah.
I was saying this earlier about the Sonics as well. You know, rarely do teams come into a tournament and just win everything from day one all the way through and win the final. You know, they usually have a period of adversity, and they want to get it out of the way at the right time, essentially. You know, you don't want it to come in the semi-final where you lose. There's 2 exceptions that I can think of off the top of my head, and that was FaZe winning the Sweden Major, and also in November 21. And SSG at SI 2020. Yeah. They're the 2 teams really that have been able to go through without any significant losses to win a major tournament. But obviously, you know, there's been 10 tournaments in that time. We've got a rush coming in, and they are certainly playing silly, Des.
They are playing silly. I mean, Leon's almost gone down. He's got the light screens on side. Kanto finds one. Oh, a plant was almost going in, but it's been shut down at the last second. There's 3 kills that have come back, though. Either team going at each other into a 3 versus 3. Still with one more light screen on side, but outside outside of that, that's pretty much all we've got to work with on the side of Koi.
Bosco's having absolutely none of it. Obviously I joke about them playing silly. You don't begrudge them at this point. They're 6-2 up, and Russia's work. Sometimes they will just get the job done, and it may well still pay off. And Spite gets a big double, and it is all up to Yeti to keep SSG fighting here in Bank to keep them in this one. It could be a very quick 2-0 for Koi.
It's feeling like it's going that way. Spite taking up the mantle of the diffuser here and looking to get the plant down. It's Yeti all by himself. Leon gets the closing kill. A dominant show on Bank by Koi. Again, one of their top maps as well. They shine bright and take all 4 points.
What a performance from Koi on Bank particularly. That was the map choice of SSG. SSG took Koi all the way on border, but then just could not perform on their own playground.
We did have better attacks. Yeah, but on the other map. We did on both maps, Steve. What do we want to do?
Obviously some muted faces as well on the side of SSG, as well as voices. They still have 1 game to play against G2, but they currently sit in 4th place. That means if they get nothing out of that G2 game tomorrow, in fact, I think both teams probably sit on 4 points. In fact, G2 are playing now, so maybe not. There is still a chance then to fight to get away from 4th place, but if you finish 4th, you drop basically down into 4th place and you stay there, you go into the lower bracket when we go into the next round. You then have no second chance. You really want to be finishing 1st to 3rd place in your group, otherwise, well, it's pretty much sudden death going into next week.
That's exactly as it looks. I think what a position Koi have just put themselves in.
Brilliant.
After the first day where we were a little bit concerned about them, the performance wasn't the best, they're really starting to grow into this one.
Absolutely. Really good performance overall. I know, again, border was a little bit shaky. Bank, far more convincing. I am kind of gutted we didn't get to see Club. I really wanted to see Club out of these 2 teams to see what happened when we get to the creme de la creme of Siege maps. Gonna have to wait for a future day. But that's all for now, Tim. Should we throw to a break together? What should we say?
We haven't even tried it.
What should we say? We can do it on the fly. What should we say? Let's go to a break, and when we come back, the desk will break it down for you.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Let's go to a break, and when we come back, the desk will break it down for you.
Yes.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Well, welcome back, friends. We come back from a very quick second series of the day, or second out of the two that are in this phase of the day. Hello, I'm Medic, your host. With me are Mandy and James. And I have to say, usually it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. And in this case, Koi, they held it down the whole time. Spacestation unable to fire back against their opponents. It's gotta hurt. I have to say, the rules are pretty clear. You can't open up your palm, and Space Station just could not handle the heat.
No, it was quite a dominant game. I will say, to be fair to Space Station, I didn't expect a lot from them on border. They looked a little bit better than I expected, and we saw some new ideas. I really liked near the start, we saw Hot and Cold on the Solus down underneath Break Room, contesting the entry using impacts and vertical game. But at the end of the day, when Spoit is a god, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I think for me, it was really when Koi went over onto their defending half and they started setting up sites and playing the retake really well. They put a lot of investment into playing their plays adjacent to the site rather than actually on their site. They really only left like maybe one anchor, just like Cryan or something like that on Capcan, or Deepek on mute to just babysit the site a little bit, while the rest of them ran circles around the site. And the moment that they gave SSG this false sense of security, they would get the bomb down. They played this retake really, really masterfully, where they had 2 or 3 people all swinging in angles at once. They retook key positions such as CC or like Teller's Hallway or something, and they even had those things set up for them with like a long line of sight opened up or premeditated that they were going to play like that. And it was just so smart. It was great.
If you want to paint the picture of how impactful Koi's retakes were, you look at the fact that over the course of that series, between Bosco and Yeti, SSG had 6 plants to Koi's 2 across both maps. So it's very clear that Space Station is getting that diffuser planted far often than their opponents, but Koi, I think, have a better understanding of the win conditions of the round, because at the end of the day, you can plan that diffuser. It doesn't matter if it only takes a couple of seconds for Koi to retake map control, especially on such a claustrophobic map as Border, retaking pivotal areas like CC, like you're saying, then they're going to be able to retake, they're going to be able to get that disabled, no worries.
A map like a Border is pretty easy to bait a team that is so well known for tunneling sometimes too hard on an objective, just allowing them the space to go in and plant, and suddenly, oh yeah, we're actually planning for the retake the whole time. Retake strategy are something that are very rare in Siege, because a lot of times when the diffuser goes down, it scares the hell out of teams, because everything's beeping, things are flashing, it's scary. But keeping your calm, seeing Koi in this way, it's pretty impressive, Mandy.
I was really impressed. At first, I didn't get it, because from outside the server, you're like, whoa, what's happening? They left the objective. But then once you look at it in depth, they have these like crazy setups that are actually premeditated for the retake. They have things that like they've already pre-opened like a wall inside a CC, like a long line of sight, anticipating, okay, they're going to go back into CC. They need to retake the balcony. They need to take engagements there. Or they have like a long line of sight going in through the Teller's Hallway instead of Teller's or something like that, knowing that they're going to come back down these stairs. There's a rotation hole there, and then there's a line of sight so they can actually fight back on the bomb side again. And that kind of thing. It was so smart. I really liked it.
And we'll pull up map number 2 on the screen for everybody to see, because a lot of people are calling into question the map bans here. Space Station did not pick the right places or the right battlefields to go to here against Koi in a 7-2. We even saw an Ossa and Blackbeard. Spoit on a Blackbeard with an Ossa in front of him. That is cheesy as hell. That's like, I didn't know. That scares me when I see it.
Yeah, it certainly didn't look like a good map for SSG when Koi are going 5-1 up. I believe Cryan was 12 kills and 4 deaths at the end of the first half. He was farming SSG, especially since it was mainly the Spoit show on map 1. It's great to see Cryan getting into it. Just a little side note that I noticed really impactful on this map, all but one round, Koi found the opening kill, which is quite a surprise to me, because if you look at Space Station stats holistically, they actually have 2 players who are in the top 10s for opening KD in the entire tournament so far, in Yeti and Hot and Cold. So seeing that Koi tended to dominate that early round, I think remarks upon the fact that they were just in their moment here on Bank.
I'm actually going to touch back on your point where you wrote, they're ringing Ossa and Blackbeard. Like, what? That is such a Koi thing to do. Koi, like I said earlier in the pre-show, these guys, they play tactics. They might not have this big overarching strategy where they like set up the whole map and they hold on to everything like that, but they do things like that. They'll play Ossa and Blackbeard. They'll bring Capitao to flush things out and then have Spoit sitting somewhere else to catch that defender running out at them or something like that, right? Or they'll have Deepek on Sens. That's going to set up this small, that was awesome, right? that was so cool into Staff Room Open Area, that kind of thing, right? They have a really great tactical grasp on Bank. And if you're SSG, that can be really hard to deal with.
So our MVP for this series, who will it be? We got the numbers to prove it all. Put it on the screen for you. There's candidates, and it's Cryan.
Sheesh, man.
Sheesh.
Twitter when Cryan photos are posted. God damn.
Just
where he is. 136 rating, +9 on the KD, +3 on entries. The man is the definition of flex. He is the flex master, not just at the gym and on the screen in front of you, but also in the Valk and the IQ that have to flex as operators.
Yeah, honestly, not much to be said about Cryan. He was absolutely in his element, especially on Bank when he just farmed in the first half. It's funny because overall, Cryan hasn't really been a highlight player during the tournament. His stats are mostly pretty average, but here he's just had a lifetime. He's had one of the best matches of the tournament for him, and sometimes when you have one of those games, it brings your team to another level, and especially with, I think, a pattern that I'm seeing at this Six Invitational more so than almost any other tournament in Rainbow Six is how much these games are momentum and mentality based. We have just how many teams have we seen that are good teams that just absolutely cark it because they can't get their mental game straight. And Space Station, sadly, is one of those teams. We saw it the other day against W7M, 14 rounds lost in a row, and we saw it here.
Liquid, you can even call Koi
And
in that
there's a
same
lot of
way,
teams
only a couple of
fall into
days
that category.
So that's unfortunately how it goes. Mandy, your closing thoughts on our series?
Closing thoughts, just to touch on the Cryan thing again. I mean, we're all watching Cryan for the plot, I'm just saying. Anyway.
I watch Rainbow Six for the plot.
We watch Rainbow Six for the plot here. But just, yeah, to touch on Cryan, Cryan is a really pivotal player in this team. You have things like Spoit and Deepak, the duo, that kind of just get the entry done. They're just the front line, they're the forefront of the attack. But then you have Cryan, who's going into positions that they just need them to be that X factor, that if their entry doesn't go so well, you have Cryan who's working on something else. And then you've got your Cooling and Leon going, all right, Spoit, all right, Deepak, how's your part going? And they go, not so good. Then Cryan's going, all right, guys, reel it back. I've got an opportunity. And it's amazing for Koi to have that second or third redundancy in their attacks. Not only that, but even on the defense, he's just such a fluid player. Like, he kind of went off on Valk today. That was crazy.
It was good to see.
If I can, there is a player I would like to highlight outside of Cryan, and it's maybe not one that people would have expected, but Rampy, going into this game, was the worst player in the tournament for rating KOST, and he had the least kills. And in this game, he popped off. He had the second most kills behind Cryan, and he had a massive impact with several multi-kills that led to some of SSG's few round wins that they managed to accomplish. So I personally am very happy to see that Rampy has finally shaken whatever jitters that were plaguing him at the start of this tournament, and I'm hoping that that can be the first stepping stone for Space Station to start becoming the team that people expect from former Six Invitational champions.
Especially since they're expecting to see them in the bracket later on in the playoffs come Monday. But friends, thank you very much. There is a second game going on as we speak. G2 are going up against Elevate, and for spoiler alert, we'll give you just a second. G2 are up 1-0. We go to map 2 on a bank. First map was very close between G2 and Elevate. That was Skyscraper. We'll toss it to that so you can watch it on both streams. We'll be back to you to break things down for game 2.